Part 160. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1594. Yes, after decades, Jia Yan's strength has truly improved. But compared with the combat power of the Domain Lord level, it was far behind. In fact, now that he thought about it, he felt that there was still a huge difference between the strength of the ordinary galaxy level. The God Emperor level being last time chased him all the way. If not for the intervention of other powerful people, he might have died in the universe. Therefore, for Jia Yan, compared with the strength of others, although his own strength is much better than most people, there is still a big gap compared to the truly strong. I hope this kid can be stronger. It would be better if he could catch up with me. Jia Yan silently looked at the departing warship, then shook his head. He didn't know how he felt about Jiarong, just like Satsuma Kono knew clearly. He had been in the universe for a long time, and he also knew that most creatures in the universe, especially extremely powerful creatures, wanted their descendants to be its very difficult. In addition, Jia Yan originally dealt with emotional problems, so he thought that it would be difficult for him to have another heir in his life, so this Jiarong could be considered his child, but although Jia Yan he knew this, but was unwilling to admit it, because his feelings for this child, or the way he was born, were a bit incomprehensible. You don't have to worry so much. There will always be a chance to realize what you think in the future. Jia Yan thought about this silently, and then he continued to step into the subspace in the direction of the Earth under the darkness of the dark universe. For Jia Yan, his strength is definitely stronger than that of ordinary strong men. Needless to say, he even knows that a group of his subordinates around the Orion Arm are extremely powerful beings. Every one of them goes out, they are all able to carve out a territory around them, and even have a certain chance of becoming an extremely powerful person who controls a star field. So when they went to fight in the biochemical star territory, Jia Yan didn't have much to worry about. But what he didn't know was that while he was coexisting with his family on Earth, the war had really begun in the biochemical star field. The Orion Arms followed a group of Jia Yan's subordinates and entered the biochemical star field. Although there were not that many, it was such a great opportunity for them to follow a group of strong men to fight against the Tooth Sacrifice. Such an opportunity there weren't many, so each one of them was venting their anger and dissatisfaction with the previous role of the biochemical star field. Therefore, a group of Jia Yan's subordinates discovered that the people in the biochemical star territory did not have any hatred towards their subordinates, Jia Yan's team. After all, they were strong men and their style was actually pretty good. But towards the people in the Orion Arm, they were really extremely angry. Because the warships of the Orion Arm, when they arrived in a certain star field occupied by Jia Yan's team, cooperated with Jia Yan's team to sit in the fleet to suppress it, they were almost ruthless. Compared with the fleet members of Jia Yan's team, that was absolutely extremely violent. The truth they said also made the fleet members of Jia Yan's team, that is, the subordinates from the spirit realm, speechless, because the officers and soldiers of the Orion Arm were talking about these guys from the biochemical star realm. They have caused great slaughter in their Orion Arms, and even some star regions have been completely destroyed. What they are doing now is just some interest. Hatred is often the seed that intensifies conflicts. When several powerful subordinates of Jia Yan's team wanted to give up, they suddenly discovered that they had just invaded the biochemical star field for more than 10 light years and were about to penetrate deeper into the biochemical star field. Fleets and powerful men sent by many civilizations were completely surrounded. The existences or fleets of these biochemical star fields directly have a deep hatred for them, especially when they see the weak but powerful fleet of the Orion Arm. Each one of them looks like their dead parents, and they want to rush forward. Come and try your best. When they learned what the Orion Arm fleet had done, Luo Longxi and others all smiled bitterly. It seems that I have underestimated the hatred of this group of Orion Arms towards the biochemical star territory, especially since those who followed us to the war are all civilized battleships on the border. Some of the soldiers and officers in these battleships are people from the extinct civilization. It is not difficult to understand why they would have such hatred for the biochemical star territory. What should we do now? Biochemical star territory is preparing to fight a small-scale decisive battle with us. We can't afford to fight. Although we ourselves are not afraid of anything, the fleet from the divine realm behind us, plus this group of Orion arm fleets, have no ability to fight. Once the fight starts, we will not be able to protect it at all. So many fleets. Forget it, why don't we ask Master Jia Yan for advice? No, if we can't even solve such a trivial matter, then how can we fight Master Jia Yan's subordinates? You also know that the Master is an existence that has almost reached the galaxy level. If our subordinates can't, even if it is so difficult to capture a star field that only has middle-level stellar experts, then your future status in front of adults will definitely be very low. Several subordinates no longer have any thoughts of catching up with Jia Yan's strength, but they still believe that their own strength will be of certain help to Jia Yan. In other words, they want to become Jia Yan. Yan's subordinates kept going. But subordinates also need to have a certain level, especially in today's situation. Although their strength is good, if they face a little problem that cannot be solved by strength, if they can't handle it well, then under Jia in Yan's eyes, his status has definitely been greatly reduced. Oh, I already have some ideas. Since the strongest person on the other side is an existence that has reached the middle level of a star, then we should go find trouble with this existence. If he doesn't know the truth and doesn't let the biochemical star field, those who bow to us will be killed. Ah! Several members of Jia Yan's team were actually chatting through ultra-long-distance communication. After Niu Lang expressed his thoughts that day, a group of members of Jia Yan's team were almost speechless. They have all thought about how to deal with this biochemical star field, but they have never thought about directly taking down the biggest boss. After all, this is a bit contrary to common sense. Actually, you haven't converted your thinking, have you? We have now reached the middle-level stars, and we still have the yin-yang dao existence of the adults. Our strength is a little stronger than the ordinary middle-level stars, but our thinking is still an ordinary star-level thinking, without any consciousness of a super-strong person. Do you think this is worthy of Lord Jia Yan? That's right. If it were Lord Jia Yan, maybe he would have chosen the same approach. But now the question is, we are going to find that middle-level star existence. What should we do with the fleet group around us? We can't abandon the fleet group and go there. Once we leave, whether it's the warships from the Divine Realm or the fleet from the Orion Arm, the group will be directly destroyed in the hands of these surrounding warships. Luo Longxi still has a little bit of the heart to abandon the Orion Arm battleship group that followed her. What's more, among the following fleets, there is also the fleet group from her hometown. If she abandons it, she will never look back. I don't know how to face my parents and fellow villagers. Don't worry, the solution is actually very simple. To deal with that mid-level star creature, I think 3 of us are enough. The other people will gather the battleship groups from the 9 divisions together. 6 people will protect so many fleets. There shouldn't be any big problem. 3 people deal with the mid-stellar creature? Isn't it a bit difficult? I heard that the strong mid-stellar creature in the biochemical star field seems to be a creature that has stayed in the mid-stellar level for a long time. Although we are not afraid of him, it would be a bit difficult for 3 people to deal with or capture him. Rolandsi's suggestion to the cowherd seemed a bit difficult to implement. Unexpectedly, rays of light appeared on the cowherd's sharp claws, which were like bulls. Huh? Is it difficult, Luo Longxi? So I said, you still underestimate us too much. Our strength, the yin and yang dao we have learned, and the extent of our strength, you have no idea at all. Understand, we still have too little actual combat. When we were at the initial level of the star, we were able to deal with a group of God King beings. Now we have actually reached the intermediate level of the star, and we have even learned the yin and yang Dao modified by Master Jia Yan. Do you still think that we three people can't deal with a mid-level star creature? This. Lawrence was suddenly at a loss for words. While they were talking, the other subordinates did not speak. Although generally speaking, the status of Jia Yan's subordinates are similar, in fact, there have always been relatively obvious differences in status and strength. In the original team of gods, Luo Longxi has always been the leader. On the strong side, Tianyi Alang has always been a bit like the leader, so the two people have been in a subtle confrontation. The current situation is that Luo Longxi and Tianyi Alang often have different opinions, and neither party is convinced by the other. But in today's situation, it seems that the cowherd has taken a slight advantage. Okay, since Lady Relancy feels unsure about taking action, let me do it. You can sign up for the other two people yourself. Those who feel unsure don't need to go. Tianyi Alang spoke calmly to the other group of subordinates. I'm going. On Tianyi Alang's side, a subordinate who had a good relationship with Tianyi Alang quickly spoke. The strength and status of the 9 of them are almost the same, and there is no reason for anyone to obey the other. However, generally speaking, there is still a certain difference in status, so there is also a small team here in Tianyi Alang. Of course, this team is completely loyal. From Jia Yan. Tianyi Alang quickly formed a small alliance established by stellar-level creatures. All three agreed to go to the hinterland of the biochemical star territory. Then Luo Longxi gathered the remaining fleet and concentrated their strength to deal with the biochemical star territory. The huge fleet alliance that came. Okay, now let's see what the strongest person in this biochemical star field, that is, that middle-level star being, has 3 heads and 6 arms. Tianyi Alang was of course extremely curious about the strongest existence in the biochemical star field. Although he always said that he looked down on him, in fact, he didn't look down on him too much in his heart. Because someone who can command a star field, even if he is only an intermediate star, must have extremely powerful means, otherwise he would not be able to command such a huge star field. And the actions of this group of creatures in Jia Yan's team at this moment cannot actually hide too many people. The biochemical star territory is extremely concerned about the developments here, especially after knowing that 3 extremely powerful people invited from the Orion Arm flew out of their own fleet, riding superfast spaceships, towards the biochemical star territory. When they left the hinterland of the domain, all the senior officials of the biochemical star domain knew their plans. Are they planning to go to the hinterland of our biochemical star territory and confront our biochemical king directly? This is too terrifying. 3 powerful men actually want to challenge our biological king and seek death. You are really looking for death. Although our Lord Biochemical King is a mid-level star existence, he was a genius who fought in the genius battlefield back then. Looking for the existence that came out of Shiyuan, his talent and strength are not comparable to those of ordinary beings of the same level, and even Lord Huoku dare not show any disrespect to this biochemical king. That's right, we don't even know if these 3 people are intermediate stars. They are probably just 3 beginners. They actually want to challenge the biochemical king. Moreover, they have also forgotten that there are other stars in our biochemical star field. Even the masters of the stellar level are in the hinterland. With them here, these 3 people still want to stir up trouble. Haha, they are looking for death, but we can't stop here. Since they have divided their forces, we have to hold back the remaining enemy fleets. It is best not to let their strong men send out to support those 3 fools. That's right, our biochemical star territory will definitely win this war. When they learned about the Orion Arm intruders, there were actually 3 extremely powerful men heading directly towards the hinterland of the biochemical star territory. The biochemical star territory blockers here were completely shocked and a little excited. Because they know that a group of strong men in the biochemical star territory have not yet fully mobilized. After all, in addition to the invading enemies such as the Orion Arm, the biochemical star territory also has other star domain enemies, such as in the biochemical star territory nearby, that place called Empire. Therefore, when the biochemical star territory was attacked by a weak fleet led by a group of strong men like the Orion Arm, although several star-level experts died in the biochemical star territory, the biochemical star territory still didn't pay much attention. Because it is difficult to say that only a few strong men can defeat a huge star field. But this time, when the biochemical star territory was about to use a powerful fleet to drive away the invading Orion Arm fleet, they actually dared to divide their forces. 3 of them even prepared to go straight to Huanglong. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1595. Bulletin U believes that everyone who can read this is true love. There are more than 5 million words. So many words, let alone writing. Even if you read it, you must have read it for a long time, right? It has been 2.5 years since I started writing the book, which is quite emotional. In fact, the subscription for this book is no longer available, but Bulletin U still continues to write. The authors who are familiar with him are either TJ or have written many new books long ago, but Bulletin U is the only one who has still been writing silently for more than 2 years. In fact, I am fulfilling what I said back then, that I will finish the book well. Although the readers I promised back then must have given up on this book, I am still fighting a personal battle. Not much to say, this is an anti-piracy chapter. Bulletin U just added these emotions. If you see book friends here, I hope you can come and subscribe to this book. Remember, this is the starting point. Bulletin U doesn't want to say there are so many things that encourage you to subscribe to the official version, because if you can see this, I think it is true love. Thank you. Genuine subscriptions are of high quality, thank you. This is an anti-piracy chapter. Book friends who have subscribed to Cheateon.com, don't worry, the first update will be updated at 2250, and the second update will be updated at 2350. Genuine sites other than Cheateon may be slightly slower, www such as QQ Reading, and Creation, etc. Note, do not pay for other websites, they are all pirated. Book lovers, please come to Cheateon.com to subscribe, thank you. It only costs a few cents to subscribe to a chapter. If the money falls on the ground, there are probably not many book friends who bend down to pick it up. It only costs a few UN a month. Such a small amount of money can give Bulletin U more motivation to code. Why are you happy but not doing it? Thank you to those book friends who have subscribed to the full text. It is because of you that Bulletin U can continue to write. Thank you. I hope everyone will come to Cheateon.com to subscribe to the original version. It is even easier for mobile phone users. You can recharge and read by downloading the Cheateon mobile client. Regarding the situation where mobile phone users have subscribed to this anti-piracy chapter and it has not been modified at 2330, this is because the chapter content has been cached in your mobile phone. You can click on the unmodified chapter section in the chapter directory of this book. It's time to let go and choose to update the chapter or re-download it in the pop-up prompt to update the chapter. If you have subscribed to this chapter on sites such as Chuangshi or QQ Yunkai, you will not be able to see the chapter content for the time being. You need to wait for the refresh, which is a little slower than the starting point. Baiyu welcomes everyone to go to click to subscribe for the genuine version. Also, you can join the fan group 4661222798, chat with other book friends. I would like to apologize for the reading inconvenience caused to everyone. Baiyu does not want to prevent piracy, but has no choice but to save this book. I am really sorry. Below is the anti-piracy content to reduce word count. It will become genuine around 11 o'clock. Hope for the stars and hope for the moon, it is finally on the shelves. It took more than 2 months from when this book was published on August 10th to today, October 15th. It has been very difficult to get to this point. To be honest, Bulletin U was a little excited and a little nervous. This book has only been recommended on the website 3 times so far. It can be said that it basically relied on word of mouth to spread it wildly to this point. To tell you the truth, Giant Mosquito only has more than 5,000 collected so far. Do you know what more than 5,000 collected means? There are so many books in the starting point, and more than 5,000 books have been collected and completed, less than 1% of them are finished, and the rest are all uniques and unfinished books. There is a fire in Bayou's heart. This is not because I am angry at the website. After all, Kidian is also a commercial company. They naturally have the means to determine whether a book has commercial value. Since they have determined that Giant Mosquito cannot make money, it is normal not to recommend it. But you didn't believe it. This book has been receiving support and encouragement from everyone since its inception, and the comment area is also very lively. Compared with those books that have collected over 10,000 or more, our Mosquito brothers and sisters are more united and stronger than them. Enthusiastic. You will never forget that the brothers The Tiger Who Eats Pigs wrote a long review and gave a reward just the second day after the book was published. I will never forget, I laughed and cried after reading it, brother, because he was anxious for the popularity of this book. He helped publicize and comment everywhere, but his account was banned by Kidian. I will never forget that my little brother Be Better Than Wild took the initiative to help build a readership. I will never forget, brothers and sisters such as Tiendeo Rewards Gene 233, Buried, Quiet, Iraqis, Wuvire, Easy Fall, etc., will reward you again and again. In fact, You is a person who gives up easily. At his age, he has given up too many things in his life. But when writing this book, everyone can see You's persistence. He basically insisted on writing 6,000 plus words every day. In 2 months, he didn't even update for 1 day. How can a person who gives up easily persist until now? The main reason is not that You has changed. My tendons hurt every time I hit the keyboard with my fingers. Or a relative comes to visit and it's too late to talk to them. Squatting on the toilet for too long. The dogs in the pet shop downstairs were so noisy that I couldn't sleep in the middle of the night. Approved by other authors. Ignored by the editor. Anyway, a series of messy reasons had affected the writing of the book, and You even thought about discontinuing the book. But as soon as he opened the page and saw everyone's rewards and comments, he felt a kind of strength that made You insist on gritting his teeth and writing. To be honest, 2 months is neither long nor short. It is 1/6 of a year and 1/3 of a semester. You has persisted time and time again, all thanks to everyone's help. In fact, the most important key to writing a book is persistence. You understands this very well, so every time he has no inspiration, he can only force it out word by word. And every time at that time, he will turn to the comment area to read everyone's messages and see everyone's comments. Encourage. Every time a reward appears, every recommendation ticket comes, You will feel a sense of joy, and then this joy dilutes the sadness of not being recommended by the website, and continues to tap the keyboard with his sore fingers. At the beginning of this book, I felt that it was still improving a bit. You updated it quickly, and everyone was happy to read it. Perhaps the earliest problem occurred was in an author group on Bayugia. After seeing The Giant Mosquito, an author there once said that this book was updated too quickly. He will definitely die in the future. You didn't believe it at that time and even argued with the other party. These authors update 1 chapter every day, and only update 2 chapters when recommended by the best, and it is still a small chapter with 2,000 words. Some people started the book earlier than me, and it still has less than 300,000 words, to put it bluntly, even if they have a collection of 10 to 20,000, but I really look down on such authors. But they are right. Later, because You updated too quickly, it became a comparison with books with the same word count. Editors don't care how fast you update. It's only been a few days since the book was published. They will only compare you with the same word count. You don't know how many websites you have recommended. A book comparison. The result of this is that the performance of Giant Mosquito is not outstanding, so naturally there is no next recommendation. Those authors once told me that by lowering the profile, there might be opportunities for recommendation in the future. But Bulletin thought about it for a long time and finally rejected it. Because Bayou doesn't want the brothers and sisters who read this book to feel uncomfortable. Maybe if you update more slowly, you will get good recommendations and make yourself less tired. But that would disappoint the brothers and sisters who love this book, and it would even disappoint Bulletin himself. So Bulletin insists on 6,000 plus words every day, insisting on the days when there are no website recommendations. In fact, Bulletin has a hope in his heart, that is, once it is released, everyone will subscribe and support it, so that editors who are not optimistic about this book will be slapped in the face. They are not optimistic about this book or its commercial value, but if you subscribe to this book, well, it will definitely be a great counterattack. Make the editor's eyes drop all over the place. But this is what Bulletin is worried about. If the subscription is too poor, then the last hope is really gone. Bulletin doesn't know what else can keep him going. In fact, the money for genuine subscriptions is really not that much. Even if Bayou updates 10,000 words every day, in 1 month, it only costs the same as 2 bottles of water or a pack of cheap cigarettes. In today's society, who can't afford this little money? The only difference is whether you have this intention or not. If everyone can subscribe and help this book, it will surprise the editors. Bayou can sleep less at night, go out less, eat less snacks, and contact less friends. Also make sure to update a lot. Really, everyone likes this book. Bulletin feels like he likes Bulletin as a person. As a person who is not good at expressing himself and is introverted, Bulletin is said by many relatives and friends to have an eccentric personality. But now he has the support of so many friends. Bulletin really very happy. This book will be updated soon in the future. But this premise gives Bayou a little reason to update quickly, a reason to convince himself, his family, and those who point fingers. Otherwise, no matter how happy Bulletin is to do all this, it is foreseeable that the decrease in income, criticism from his family, and the pointing of outsiders will always make Bulletin gradually discouraged, and even big problems will occur in the article and it will no longer be like it. Develop your own writing style. In a word, everyone should support Bayou. Bulletin will not talk about family members or illness like other authors, because this is disrespectful to the family. If Bulletin really talks about the misery of the family, it is actually worse than what they call children being sick, being hospitalized, and so on. It's a lot harder and more difficult. But because of this, Bayou will not say it out loud, because my family is not for consumption. Asking for subscription is just my personal behavior. Everyone supports me because they like Bulletin and my articles, not because they are pitiful or giving charity. Bulletin wants to become equal friends with everyone, rather than a beggar who begs for mercy. In that case, I would rather not write a book. Therefore, Bulletin has only one sentence: book friends who support this book, please subscribe to it for real. Maybe Kidian recharge will not be so convenient, but please do some research. Whether it is online banking, Alipay, or mobile phone recharge subscription, you can recharge Kidian coins through various channels. Thank you very much. Bayou is here to say that all orders have reached the expected value of 300, and there are 4 updates at once. Reached 500, and from now on, 10,000 words will be updated every day. And every time the average subscription increases by 1,000, there will be one more explosion. If the average subscription is lucky enough to reach 1,000, it will directly explode by 1,000. Never break your promise. However, if you want to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, you need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book, every reader in front of the screen is. However, if you want to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, you need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book. Every reader in front of the screen is every reader in front of the screen. However, if you want to achieve this kind of uniform ordering, you need a screen. Therefore, Bulletin U has only one sentence: book friends who support this book, please subscribe to it for real. Maybe Kitty and recharge will not be so convenient, but please do some research. Whether it is online banking, Alipay, or mobile phone recharge subscription, you can recharge Kitty and coins through various channels. Thank you very much. Bayou is here to say that all orders have reached the expected value of 300, and there are 4 updates at once. Reached 500, and from now on, 10,000 words will be updated every day. And every time the average subscription increases by 100, there will be one more explosion. If the average subscription is lucky enough to reach 1000, and directly get 10 more updates. Never break your promise. However, if you want to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, you need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book, every reader in front of the screen is. However, if you want to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, you need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book. Every reader in front of the screen is every reader in front of the screen. However, if you want to achieve this kind of uniform ordering, you need a screen. Therefore, Bulletin U has only one sentence: book friends who support this book, please subscribe to it for real. Maybe Kitty and recharge will not be so convenient, but please do some research. Whether it is online banking, Alipay, or mobile phone recharge subscription, you can recharge Kitty and coins through various channels. Thank you very much. Bayou is here to say that all orders have reached the expected value of 300, and there are 4 updates at once. Reached 500, and from now on, 10,000 words will be updated every day. And every time the average subscription increases by 1000, there will be one more explosion. If the average subscription is lucky enough to reach 1000, it will directly explode by 1000. Never break your promise. However, if you want to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, you need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book, every reader in front of the screen is. However, if you want to achieve this kind of uniform subscription, you need the support of all the book friends in front of the screen. This is just a niche book. Every reader in front of the screen is every reader in front of the screen. However, if you want to achieve this kind of uniform ordering, you need a screen. Therefore, Bulletin U has only one sentence: book friends who support this book, please subscribe to it for real. Maybe Kitty and recharge will not be so convenient, but please do some research. Whether it is online banking, Alipay, or mobile phone recharge subscription, you can recharge Kitty and coins through various channels. Thank you very much. Therefore, Bulletin U has only one sentence: book friends who support this book, you are welcome to visit our reading academy for more exciting novels. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1596. Although their lifespan has increased, even in terms of absolute lifespan, the 20 or 30 years difference between them and their sons and daughters does not matter at all, but they are still the elders, and they still want to see their children get married, start a career, and become a complete adult with a complete life. So they bless Jia Yan's happiness. Of course, everyone vaguely knew that whether the Jia Yan in front of them was the real Jia Yan seemed to be open to debate. But even so, it's something Jia Yan himself doesn't want to talk about. No matter what, he is Jia Yan, no matter what life form he is in. But now this son with a different life form finally feels like a decent family, so everyone feels a little more relaxed. Okay, thank you. When everyone in the family finally fully recognized Jia Yan's family, Jia Yan was completely relieved. Actually, nothing happened to us. Satsuma Kong smiled slightly. No, let's talk about it later when we have a chance. Jia Yan cupped Satsuma's perfectly beautiful face, and then pulled her hair to the side. For Satsumakan, the rapid development of the relationship between the two parties is actually a change of injury. For Jia Yan, it is also a not so good change. Although the two parties have quickly understood each other, they are still far from falling in love. It's far, far away. If there is no process, it will progress too fast, which will be a bad thing, so Jia Yan is not in a hurry. We are all strong men in the universe, such terrifying beings. Their psychological quality will not allow them to change too much suddenly, and their mentality cannot suddenly become lovers or something. This is too sudden. Anyway, both parties have a lot of time. In the future, they will slowly get used to the feeling of being together. We will talk about other things later. On Jia Yan's side, while his relationship with Satsuma Temple was advancing by leaps and bounds, he was also paying attention to the affairs of the biochemical star territory. He also wanted to see if his three subordinates who raided into the biochemical star territory would really live up to their confidence and make a big news in the center of the biochemical star territory. If these three people really bring out all the trump cards of the biochemical star territory, then I am not sure whether the three of them will be disgraced. Now that I am in the rear, what if something happens to them? It's an accident and it's too late to save them. Why don't you use all your strength to rush there so that you can save them at the critical moment? Jia Yan was silent for a while. Regarding this issue, he feels that he belongs to a leader, not a nanny. Although everyone has been advancing and retreating together all the way, it can be regarded as a relationship for many years, but the leader is the leader. If he can't do even the smallest things well, he doesn't have much need to take care of his subordinates, and all this was done by the three subordinates recklessly. If he runs over if he is worried, this is a distrust of his subordinates and a yin and yang of his own. Tao's distrust. Let's see, I'll take another look. I believe that even if they are defeated, they can always escape. With 9 people gathered together, I don't believe there is any way in the biochemical star field to deal with the 9 mid-level powerful people in the star, but if they can't even escape, it only shows that their strength or their ability to deal with crises is limited to this, and I don't need to care too much about such subordinates. Jia Yan is not a kind-hearted person, or in other words, he has always thought that his heart is not that kind. Even for these subordinates, he has never felt that he has any care for their lives. So at this time, he adhered to his own views and regarded the arrogant opinions of these subordinates as a crisis that they had to face. If they were dead, he wouldn't be able to control that much. Obviously, the 3 creatures that broke into the biochemical star territory, including the cowherd of heaven, were definitely aware of Jia Yan's thoughts. Master Jia Yan is actually a very good leader, but you also know that he will never come to help our leader in this situation. He has never been such a character, so if we take this trip the biochemical star territory's trump card is forced out, and if danger occurs, we will have to survive and deal with it ourselves, so you must be prepared. Tianyi Alang rode the aircraft all the way, and was a little solemn about the central star area of the biochemical star field that he was about to arrive. We know, Tianyi Alang, that you are the strongest among the 3 of us. You will have to help us share more of the burden when the time comes. The 2 of them followed Tianyi Alang. Although they were not said to be Tianyi Alang's subordinates, they still respected Tianyi Alang, who was the most powerful among Jia Yan's subordinates and the strongest person in the universe system. Haha, are you putting pressure on me now? Tianyi Alang smiled and shook his head. He knew that he had gone against everyone's opinions this time and used the reason that the three of them had a good relationship to draw these two friends over, so he was responsible. And if he dares to take over everything, he definitely has his own confidence. Don't worry, I have a certain trump card this time. If you really want reassurance, then I will tell you. Tian Nialang thought to the two friends who had followed him that he should give them a trump card, or give them reassurance. After he whispered a few nouns to his two subordinates, each of them stared. What? You mean, my lord's one? That's right, that's it? Okay, now you know it? If you know it, let's go. With this, what are we afraid of? It's amazing. You can even leave. I'm not afraid anymore. What are you afraid of now? Haha, I'm just afraid that they won't give out their trump card. It seems that we will really get credit for coming with you this time. Oh, it's amazing, it's amazing. Some of them who haven't come here will definitely be jealous of such a great achievement. The two members of Jia Yan's team looked at each other, and then read the joy and shock in each other's eyes, and praised Tianyu Lang one after another. No, don't give me poisonous milk. In short, I still need the help of you too. Although this is good, it is absolutely impossible for me to do it alone. Otherwise, I would have broken in alone, and the credit would be greater. Tian Nialang shook his head modestly, but it could be seen that his expression was as if he had eaten honey, and he was extremely proud. The three middle-level stellar experts were flying towards the central star area where the biochemical star field was about to arrive, flying at a speed much faster than the speed of light. Finally, on their way forward, a huge and extremely prosperous star district appeared. This is the center of the biochemical star territory, and it is also the place where many powerful people and civilizations in the biochemical star territory are located. This kind of civilization center in a star field has absolutely a lot of defensive and offensive facilities, so after the three people arrived here in a super battleship, they looked at this place and slowly slowed down. As expected, when they arrived, a dark ship group came to the center of the biochemical star field here. In the center of this fleet, there are some strong men who have been ready to go, as well as some high-level officials of major civilizations. In the biochemical star field, there is no family relationship, because most creatures are created through biochemical modulation. Although about half of the families are created due to various reasons, many creatures still exist without family care, so their real core concern is their own civilization and country. Even as large as the biological star field, the home star field, they are places with a strong sense of identity. Therefore, for the three invading star-level powerhouses, the entire biochemical star territory has known about their arrival for a long time, and has completely shared the same hatred with the enemy. Even the civilizations around the star territory have sent warships, hoping to defeat this invading force. The foreign enemies in their biochemical star field were repulsed. Facing such a huge and extremely united star field, it would be difficult for them to be subdued by just a few strong men, especially the creatures in the biochemical star field who have their own methods. It's a huge welcoming event. There are a total of, let me calculate, 500,000 battleships? Our 9 powerful men are outside the biochemical star field, and the fleet fighting us is only 100,000 battleships. Now they are dealing with us. 3 people, and 500,000 battleships were used. Should I say that I am flattered, or am I feeling pressured? What use are more ordinary warships to us strong men? With 500,000 salvos fired, we will retreat at the worst. How can they still catch up with us? Do they want to play the trick of suppressing the momentum before the war with us? Haha, so I said, I didn't know that the star field near Master Jia Yan's place would not be so primitive. Now that I look at it, it is actually primitive. To this extent, a war destined to be between the strong has actually wasted so many people and resources on such a trick. I think this is not putting pressure on us, but putting pressure on themselves. Funny. Several star-level experts felt it was very funny. In fact, it's not their fault for looking down on them. Although they come from a place like the stellar battlefield where the strong men hardly exceed the interstellar intermediate level, in the stellar battlefield, the chances of the major strong men fighting are too high, especially in the stellar battlefield. On the huge divine planet, wars between stars often broke out, so the combat experience was much higher than that of ordinary stars. Not to mention that after they followed Jia Yan, they faced enemies more powerful than themselves time and time again, and even completely drove away the enemies time and time again. This was something they were extremely proud and confident about. Things. They also know what a real strong fight should be like to be considered a real fight. Now when I look at the biochemical star field, so many battleships have been directly used. They are almost black. The number of soldiers in the battleships alone exceeds the current total population of the Earth Alliance. Although they are also attracted by this extremely spectacular sight, they are overwhelmed. The whole starry sky was filled with shock, but not long after, they all stopped disdainfully. But in fact, is the biochemical star realm really so incomprehensible to the actual war between strong men? Not really. They would dispatch so many ordinary warships, although part of it was because they lacked understanding of the true war of strong men, but in fact, it was also due to their thinking and consideration of certain items of their own. Not long after, among the layers of battleships, a huge figure slowly appeared from the group of battleships. Oh! Coming. The members of Jia Yan's team here were also slightly shocked, knowing that the opponent's strong man had arrived. The distance between the two sides is 20,000 kilometers. Although this is as far as the Earth, it is actually not too far for the strong. The other party was far away, so he sent a message to come. Hello outsiders, I am the most powerful person in the biochemical star territory, the biochemical king. I wonder what the three of you do for coming to the hinterland of my biochemical star territory this time. This huge and powerful man actually used his brainwave power. Although he was reluctant, he still projected his brainwave power to Jia Yan's three subordinates who were 20,000 kilometers away. Awesome, a brainwave power projection range of 20,000 kilometers. I can't do it. Well, he actually has such strength. This biochemical king is indeed a star powerhouse. I can't match his brainwave power, but combat power is not brainwave power. Tian Cao heard, what should we do now? Although we may not necessarily lose because we don't have the power of brainwaves, but if we can't react, we will definitely lose our momentum. The two members of Jia Yan's team felt a little ashamed of the brainwave power of the strongest man in the biochemical star field. Of course, they still have confidence in their true combat power, because they learned Jia Yan's Yin and Yang Dao. Originally, this power was created for leaping into battles, even if they could not use Jia Yan's leaping skills in their hands. The combat ability is very simple compared to other people of the same level, so even if they feel the opponent's strength, they don't have any fear. It's just that when someone talks to you and you can't even reply, it's very embarrassing. Maybe people are just waiting for the opportunity to get close to them to ridicule them when they can't reply. I come. Unexpectedly, the cowherd who had been silent for a long time suddenly said such words without waiting for any questions from the two comrades of Jia Yan's team, and spoke directly. There is a strange collision of forces in his power, and the power of this collision makes his brainwave power push the previous wave of power wave by wave, pushing the brainwave power very far. Far. Your Excellency, the King of Biochemistry, are you asking why we are here? Oh, your biochemical star territory can go to the Orion Arm to start the war without notifying the Orion Arm, so why can't we come to your biochemical star territory? Huh? You are. The biochemical king over there was originally planning to see the member of Jia Yan's team here embarrassed. You must know that although he is very strong, in terms of brainwave power, it is difficult to use brainwaves without unique research. pushed to a distance of 20,000 kilometers, he originally thought that the other party would definitely not be able to reply, so he thought about how to ridicule the other party when he got closer. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1597. But what I didn't expect was that someone on the other side could actually reply. And it seems that the brainwave power is at least as good as his. This huge creature suddenly felt a little pressure. Because in his mind, he had never thought that among Jia Yan's subordinates, there were existences that were as terrifying as his brainwave power. If Jia Yan's strength, or brainwave power, had a certain possibility of reaching his strength, he probably still had to believe it. After all, he was an evolved beast that had reached the stellar level. But can even Jia Yan's subordinates achieve this level of strength? He didn't believe it at all. At least before this, he thought that even if he would get into a little difficulty, it would be the joint siege of these three powerful people who were suspected of reaching the primary level of a star. But looking at it now, even one person has reached his brainwave power? Absolutely impossible. This person with mid-level stellar strength, not even an average mid-level stellar power, suddenly stared at the creature that he felt was a huge threat. Your Excellency, you are definitely not Jia Yan's subordinate. Please tell me why you came to invade our biochemical star domain. He said. The strongest man in the biochemical star territory suddenly felt a sense of a huge conspiracy. A strange outsider, with such strength, came to their biochemical star territory and claimed to be that Jia Yan. Subordinate, he easily thinks that this kind of lie is impossible. When Jia Yan made a big fuss in their biochemical star field, he was not even a star level. Even after going to the genius battlefield, he was promoted to a star level. Now he has, even if you don't have a mid-level star, you wouldn't dare to say that. How can such a strong subordinate come from? But his suspicion made the creature he instantly regarded as his enemy burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha, you said, I am not a subordinate of Master Jia Yan? I know what you mean. You just think that it is impossible for my master to accept a subordinate like me, right? Humph, you dare to look down on my master, he is you. Can you look down on a mere mid-level star creature? You don't have to guess too much about my current strength. In short, you are going to die here today, so there is no point in thinking about it. Huh? Do I want to die here? Very good, Your Excellency, since you have the confidence, then let's meet the real chapter. When our biochemical star territory uses our trump cards to capture you, we will ask you what your intentions are. The huge mid-level star creature refused to believe that Jia Yan's strength was already extremely powerful. Even the faint meaning of Tianyi Ulang's words showed that Jia Yan was not even a mid-level star. This was it made him even more distrustful of the other party's words, because no matter it was the genius that the strongest man in the biochemical star field had seen with his own eyes, or had heard of, or even the most talented among the evolved beasts that he learned from historical data, no one can rush from half-star level to lower star level in such a short period of time. Since the other party didn't mean to say it directly, then he didn't want to know the reason so much. As long as he won, wouldn't he be able to ask the other party what secrets he had? When he finished speaking, countless battleships turned their guns towards the members of Jia Yan's team here. Although I know that the existence of this kind of strength will have the means to deal with the attacks of huge groups, but if they don't even have that kind of strength, they might die if they are fired by the group, which saves me the trouble. Do it yourself. The huge mid-level star power over there did not use any trump cards from the beginning, and did not even come close to fight. Instead, it suddenly commanded the fleet and launched a salvo. Withdraw. The members of Jia Yan's team here also gave orders to the battleship and their own bodies at the same moment. The battleship is not purely alone, but there are some ordinary powerful subordinates who are operating it. After hearing the orders of several members of Jia Yan's team, they quickly followed the pre-trained method and pressed some emergency start buttons. And these buttons are an important reason why these three powerful warships dare to come to this hinterland. That is that they actually have certain space distortion capabilities. This is not the ability given by Master Jia Yan, but the ability that the warship that Wu De and the others drove has. After all, it is an advanced warship that can carry out ultra-long distance navigation and is so fast. How is it possible? Can't even deal with this level of group volley. The subordinates here saw endless rays of light coming towards them, and they themselves suddenly escaped into the interlayer of space. Although they do not have subspace talents, for them, subspace has long been familiar to them, and they have reached the level of mid-level star strength. Their original strength can tear open a hole in subspace, so at this moment, they tore a small hole in the subspace and did not enter it. Instead, they hid their bodies between the distortion of normal space and subspace and entered it. Although the mid-level stellar powerhouse at this end had long known that the salvo might not gain much, the attack did not even reach the place 30,000 kilometers away, and the opponent was already after reacting. His expression suddenly became even more ugly. The endless light reached the eyes of Jia Yan's subordinates over there when the strong man looked ugly. In the subspace, they saw the light of millions of warships, as if endless firelight suddenly bloomed in front of their eyes. Even the light of stars seemed to be less dazzling in their eyes. The violent energy released by those war weapons was also suddenly released at this moment, causing the entire space here to be sealed into a powerful light source. The light that bloomed in that moment was absolutely, it exceeds the light of ordinary stars. If people on Earth see it directly, they will definitely be blind. However, such terrifying energy flooded this vast space like a tide, but it still did not attack the members of Jia Yan's team, or even the members of Jia Yan's team, as the stellar mid-level creature expected. Their warships have no impact whatsoever. After the huge light wave of the battle quickly flooded through, another distortion appeared in this space. The three members of Jia Yan's team, plus the shadows of the three battleships in the larger distorted space behind them, also slowly emerged. It really doesn't work, we still have to do it ourselves, the strong ones. When the mid-level star creature saw that the salvo didn't even hurt the opponent at all, his expression suddenly turned ugly. Then he stopped caring so much and actually said something to the space around him. Guys, you have seen the situation. Now follow me and kill these three intruders. King of biochemistry, you are really a coward now. That's right, three creatures who are just at the mid-level of the star, have actually made you so afraid. It seems that we still looked down upon you a bit when we allowed you to assume the position of the biochemical king. Accompanied by a few joking sounds, a group of terrifying creatures, large and small, appeared beside the biochemical king. Among these creatures, there are big and small ones. The big ones are nearly 10 kilometers long, and the small ones are only 1 or 2 kilometers long, but the smaller ones are all behind the giant creatures. Among the giant creatures, the one with the most terrifying aura is one of them who seems to have just reached the mid-level star level. Although he still has a certain gap compared to the biochemical king, judging from the aura, he definitely surpasses the biochemical king. The power of a king. How about it? This is the true foundation of our biochemical star field. Even here, there are technological weapons that we specially use to deal with strong people. You three, just country strong men who don't know where they came from, are actually moving a whole star territory. Don't you know that every star territory definitely has a trump card? The biochemical king spoke silently. He did not respond to the words of those strong men who had just teased him. Because others may know that he, the biochemical king, is the strongest person in the biochemical star territory, but he himself knows that although he may be the strongest in strength, there are several existences that are at least similar to him. Now they all showed up, and even one-on-one, he couldn't say he could beat every one of them, and now was not the time to care about the banter. While talking, the biochemical king quietly glanced at the creatures behind him that he was afraid of. Then his eyes stayed on the body of a creature that had just reached the mid-level star level for a long time. His eyes were completely full of interest. This creature's helplessness and resignation. This creature was an extremely powerful person in the biochemical star field who came out of that genius battlefield, and his name was Huoku. Yes, he was the one who once chased Jia Yan to the sky and had no way to go to the earth. Moreover, at this time, he had also reached the mid-level strength of a star. After all, he was also a genius in the genius battlefield back then. A creature who emerged as a top genius. The biochemical king was helpless in his fear of him. He originally wanted to suppress this creature who was destined to surpass him because of his talent in the future, but now that Living Chu has reached the mid-stellar level, even the biochemical king was doubting that he had just reached it. Huo Chu, who has just reached the mid-level star level, has already come close to, and even has the strength to escape from his own hands. Then he can no longer deal with Huo Chu like he did before, but must think carefully about whether Huo Chu will surpass him in the future. How you should handle yourself. In short, those are things in the future. Now he is very happy that when the enemy comes, Huoku is still willing to fight for the biochemical star territory. This is already very gratifying for him. 4 major star mid-levels. This. Among the members of Jia Yan's team here, the 2 stellar mid-level experts from Jia Yan's team were suddenly startled. Tian Nialang also froze slightly, but after seeing clearly that among the 4 newly appeared mid-level powerhouses from the stars, 2 of them were probably about the same strength, while the other 2 were a bit weaker than them, he felt deep in his heart. He breathed a sigh of relief. Although the situation is a bit unexpected, don't be afraid. Don't forget that I still have a trick. Besides, I don't believe that you 2 have no tricks at all. After all, we are the successors of your lords Yin and Yang Dao. When Tian Nialang calmly turned his attention to the 2 colleagues from Jia Yan's team who seemed to be retreating, the 2 men were also stunned. They seemed to struggle for a while. As ordinary star-level creatures before, they were already a little frightened when they saw such a huge battleship in the biochemical star field, but now they have seen so many creatures of the same level of strength, some of them even you can tell at a glance that the momentum is greater than theirs, so how dare they think of any confrontation? In the past, when Jia Yanlao and Jia Yanlao faced extremely powerful enemies, most of the time they had the courage to have Jia Yan himself by their side, or all the members of the 9 major squadrons were together, but now there are only 3 of them, facing 500,000 battleships. Coupled with the number of mid-level stellar experts on their side, as well as so-called technological weapons, they have no intention of fighting. But the words Tiani Alang's Yin Yang Dao seemed to have magical powers, which made the 2 people look at each other for a moment before changing their minds again. After a while, one of them sighed. Come on, come on, come on. I have always been known for my smooth conduct when working under Mr. Jia Yan, but now I will let you go crazy for once. Haha, heavenly cowherd, you are really powerful. You can guess that we also have means. Yes, I also have means. Although it is not as good as what you said, it can still make people's eyes brighter. Of course, being able to have such means is still thanks to Mr. Jia Yan for teaching us the Yin and Yang Tao. Since you have taught us Yin Yang Dao, we must prove it. Today is the first time that Yin Yang Dao shines in our hands. Both of them seem to have found their faith in the 3 words Yin Yang Dao uttered by Tian Cowherd. It turned out that they were somewhat equal to Jia Yan, or they were reluctant to cooperate with him, but slowly they came into contact with Jia Yan, and gradually became farther and farther away from him, but in the process, they also saw the same thing. Jia Yan, the leader, what kind of amazing creature is he? What shocked them even more was the Yin and Yang Dao. It didn't matter if a creature's talent was great, but with the emergence of the Yin and Yang Dao, even their ordinary talents could reach another level because of Jia Yan's frequent guidance. It was something they never dared to think about before. Therefore, they no longer treated Jia Yan casually at first, or even the feeling of being a subordinate that they slowly turned into later. Instead, they worshipped Jia Yan extremely. When they heard the three words Yin and Yang Dao, it was more like they had found Jia Yan. The direction of one's own beliefs is the same. So after thinking about it, these two subordinates were like the cowherd. They wanted to prove Yin Yang Dao, so they started a war with an astonishingly large number of enemies in front of them, and then rectified the name of Yin Yang Dao. Needless to say, it's not about fighting in the end. Let's go. The three of them, under the command of the heavenly cowherd, suddenly rushed toward the endless fleets and the biochemical starfield defense line that contained many mid-level stellar creatures. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1598. These guys really dare to charge, three of them. The battleship group and several powerful men in the central galaxy of the biochemical starfield were completely shocked at this moment. In fact, they and the battleships gathered together. It is said that they were gathered together because of the three strong men of Jia Yan's team in front of them. It is better to say that they gathered together because of such an opportunity. After all, the invasion from the outside world wanted to destroy the entire biochemical industry. It is still difficult to gather the combat power of the star territory in one place, because what is destroyed is not within the biochemical star territory, nor is it a place of core interests, so the biochemical star territory simply does not have any strong cohesion to fight against this enemy. Visitors from Team Rock. Therefore, the arrival of the three strong men from Jia Yan's team this time is also an opportunity for the biochemical star territory. The central galaxy is different from the edge galaxy. Even if the civilization or strong men from the biochemical star territory are not in the central galaxy, at least they are. There are huge interests in the central district. After all, this is the central district. The war in the edge galaxy will only make the biochemical star territory lose face at most, and no matter how powerful it is, it will make the biochemical star territory weaker. But attacking the central galaxy is different. This has the opportunity to cause the entire huge biochemical star field to fall apart in an instant. That's why there are so many civilized battleships and strong men gathered together. Their idea was to take this opportunity to not only drive away or even kill the three incoming strong men, but also to use their huge combat power to crush them all the way and completely drive away the invading Orion armed strong men. And kill in this biochemical star field. Therefore, faced with this enemy camp of three, these powerful and civilized battleships gathered together did not have much concern at all. They actually dared to attack on their own initiative. I finally know why they recognized Jia Yan as their leader. It turns out there is something wrong with their brains. Several strong men, including Huo Chu, had a glimmer of light in their eyes, and then they understood why these strong men took refuge in Jia Yan. They would never believe that there were strong men who surrendered to Jia Yan because they surrendered to Jia Yan's strength, because that would be too scary. Now they finally found the reason. Anyway, in this universe, there are many fools who become fools or crazy people through cultivation. Kill. A group of battleships from the biochemical star field here, when the three strong men attacked, they also fired a salvo and a group of strong men rushed towards the direction where the three came. Although I know that volleys are useless, they can still disperse the enemy's arrogance. After all, the three guys charging like this seem to be pretty good. If they go crazy and exchange injuries for injuries, they will destroy this side. A star-level existence is still a huge loss to the biochemical star field. Tenny Alang, didn't you ask me what I found when I studied the Master's Yin and Yang Dao? I'll let you see it now. Suddenly, when two of the three members of Jia Yan's team here wanted to escape in subspace, one of Jia Yan's subordinates spoke. He was the husband of that scorpion creature, the divine female scorpion creature. At this prelude to everyone fighting with all their strength, he first used his own trump card. In an instant, under the shocked gazes of Tian Niaolang and another strong man, a space of distortion appeared around the three people. Buzz. The huge twisted space almost connected the space with subspace. And when this huge space appeared, countless battleship attacks from the other side arrived in front of the three people, and then the place where the three people were was turned into a complete distortion. Although the light attacks were not blocked, come down, but it is also twisted away. No matter where it goes, there are twists, but there is only one place, that is, within 100 kilometers of the place where the three people are, there is no attack light at all, and there is no attack light at all. Onto them. Let me go, your lord's subspace talent? No, this is not a subspace talent, but a simulated distorted space borrowed from the yin and yang Dao. You kid, you have even researched this. How can your son be? You are proud. When Tianyi Alang saw the scorpion monster's methods, his eyes suddenly lit up, and then his heart froze slightly, because he thought that his own methods were more amazing, but this scorpion creature actually had such methods. Of course, if you think about it carefully, this method is still a little inferior to his, but it is enough to make Tianyi Alang feel a crisis. If every member of Jia Yan's team realizes similar methods, then his pride will be nothing, especially if there is anyone who is more capable than him, then he is bragging. The war will not wait for the cowherd to think too much. After the endless light was distorted by the scorpion creature, the expressions of the several biochemical starfield powerhouses on the other side suddenly changed. It's not the existence that released the power of brain waves to talk to me just now. The other one is so strong. This. What kind of method is it? I feel that the brainwave power of these three people has just reached the mid-level star level. There is even one whose brainwave power is very unstable and not even stable. How can he actually have such strength? I thought before that they didn't even have mid-level stars. Now it seems that they do have mid-level stars. But what's going on with this strength? It's too evil anyway, so be careful. The group of stellar mid-level creatures here, after their expressions changed drastically, became wary of the scorpion creature that suddenly burst out in strength, as well as the member of Jia Yan's team who just talked to the biochemical king, whose brainwave power was much greater than that of ordinary people. As for the other one, it seems that it is the most unstable being whose strength has just reached the middle level of a star, so there should be nothing. If he is also a powerful person who has reached the mid-level stable level of the star, the strong people in the biochemical star field here will really feel a bit of a headache, because then even if they want to kill such strong people, they will definitely have to pay a certain amount. If they carry a price, 1 or 2 people may even be dragged to death by them. They also became solemn, and during the volley, they quickly approached the battlefield at a certain angle and in a way that we would not attack. When the battle reaches the center of the battlefield, the fleet at the rear will be useless. At that time, it will be a duel between the strong. How should we kill them then to maximize the strength of our side? After all, it is not cost-effective to waste too much energy. The opponent still has 6 powerful people. If 4 people have these 3, even the strength is difficult to deal with. If 6 people have this kind of strength, I think we are lucky that they don't have 9 people coming together. While flying, the biochemical king looked at the people around him, thinking about how to distribute combat power. But what he never expected was that the person here who was supposed to be the most calm in the battle, that is, the biochemical starfield named Living Channel, was now most likely to replace his existence and flew there alone. In front of everyone, they flew toward the beetle-like creature that seemed to be the leader among the 3 strong men on the other side. Oh? Is there an opponent here? It's actually a creature that has just reached the mid-level star level. You look down on me so much. At this end, the cowherd looked at the approaching creature, just glanced at it, and suddenly didn't have much interest. Asshole, are you looking down on me? Let me ask you, where is Jia Yan? Huoku, who was flying here, arrived in front of the long-horned monster in an instant, and suddenly used his orangutan-like fist to punch the long-horned beetle. Huh? Call me by your first name. Can you call me by your first name? When the heavenly cowherd heard this incoming creature, he actually dared to call Jia Yan by his name, and his expression turned cold instantly. Not only him, but the other two strong men on one side originally wanted to deal with the other coming strong men. After hearing these words that seemed to insult Jia Yan, a brainwave force instantly moved towards the side. The bombardment arrived. Actually joining forces? It doesn't matter. Even you, Mr. Jia Yan, can only escape in my hands. You are almost killed by me. What do you think? Although he has just reached the interstellar intermediate level, this talented interstellar intermediate creature from the stellar battlefield is unwilling to believe that the creature that he chased back to the sky and had no way to go to the earth, after all these years, not only could he surpass him, but his subordinates could even compare with him. This kind of thing is difficult for a creature who claims to be a genius to accept, especially since he once had the opportunity to kill Jia Yan, but now he let him go, but he was led by him in such a short few years. Wait, no, Jia Yan himself didn't show up at all. He just used a group of subordinates to beat them to pieces in the biochemical star field. The contrast was so great that it was no wonder that Huo Chu couldn't help but want to fight after hearing the news about Jia Yan's subordinates and him. Even if it is a biochemical beast, it is too unnatural. If this kind of existence is not eliminated, he feels that the biochemical star field will be destroyed soon. I can definitely block these two brainwave power attacks easily, because the two people who released the brainwave power just distracted me before fighting against other strong men. The attack on me shouldn't be too strong. Then, if I fight alone, I should be able to get rid of this leader, and my contribution will be great. After all, my talent is extremely powerful, and even the king of biochemistry will probably have a hard time killing me now. Huo Chu thought very well and didn't think there was anything wrong with his idea. So he lowered his resistance to the two random waves of brainwave power, and instead thought about how to deal with Tianyi Alang's combat moves next, making sure to kill or capture Tianyi Alang in a few blows. But something he never expected happened. After those two shocking attacks came into contact with his defensive power, they were like a powerful force, instantly breaking through his defensive power and directly hitting Huo's body. What? Poof. Huo Chu only felt that his body was hit by two huge slaps. The moment his body realized something was wrong, all the power he summoned was instantly destroyed by these two powers. Then, he felt a terrifying insect-like giant foot slap him hard. This is the attack of the cowherd. I want to block. Before Huo Chu had time to respond to the two shocking forces that invaded his body, he quickly used all his strength to resist the approaching giant feet. But his resistance was still slow. Puff. The giant foot directly hit his head, and then an astonishing generation of powerful people in the biochemical star field, a well-known existence in this star field, was also the creature that had hunted down Jia Yan in the past, and even the genius battle, a creature that must be treated with caution in every domain. Unexpectedly, the first moment it came into contact with three members of Jia Yan's team, its head exploded under a combined blow from the three of them, and it was so dead that it could no longer die. This guy seemed to have said something to Mr. Jia Yan just now. It couldn't be something important. Probably not. How can a creature like him have the chance to come into contact with Lord Jia Yan? It's too lowly. Then it's okay, just kill him if you want. Speaking of which, the three of us actually cooperated well. The art of joining forces with the gods that we practiced back then was used in the middle-level stars, and our strength became correspondingly stronger. If we really can't fight later, let's join forces. If we don't join forces now, who will get the credit if we join forces? Let's talk about it if we really can't beat them. The three members of Jia Yan's team, really didn't feel that the first enemy they killed was very powerful. But when the strong men from the biochemical star territory who came from the other side saw the enemy in front of them, they seemed to have done something extremely easy in an instant. After simply killing all the living canals in the location, they all had expressions as if they had seen a ghost. I saw it wrong? Master Huoku just flew over for a moment, and was killed by each of them with one blow. Maybe we got it wrong, Lord Huoku. That is the most powerful being in our biochemical star field. He was the person who almost succeeded in hunting down Jia Yan back then. That's right, Mr. Huoku should be just using the illusion. He will come back to life later and join us to deal with these three people. Several mid-level star powerhouses in the biochemical star field were all stunned at this time. Only the biochemical king, among all the powerful men, felt like a sinking stone, feeling that something was not good. My eyes should be right. This is a living canal. Even with my strength, it would take at least 10 minutes to kill him. But these three guys, one by one, with incomparable cooperation, just kill him directly, and he doesn't even have the power to resist. Is this because their coordination ability is too strong, or is their strength really so terrifying? The biochemical king's expression became extremely ugly, and he did not dare to think that Huoku could be solved in an instant by the respective strengths of these three powerful men. If they are really so terrifying, then it is not certain whether a group of mid-level stars on their side can kill them, and may even cause greater casualties. Don't be afraid, let's go together. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1599. They should have joined forces just now, let's disperse them. Hey, they actually dispersed themselves. How brave. Kill them. When a group of strong men from the biochemical star territory finally accepted the idea that Huochu could be killed instantly by the other party, they thought that what had happened just now should be due to some ingenious way of joining forces between the three of them. They were really right about this. When the three powerful men took the initiative to rush in from three directions, the moment the three of them came into contact, they finally used all their yin and yang Dao trump cards. The scorpion creature naturally still uses his twisted power. Although it does not seem to be as powerful as Jia Yan's subspace talent, he seems to have consulted Jia Yan, so in this twisted change, there is something like Jia Yan's style, and it is very mature, so in this distortion, there is an extremely terrifying defensive effect, and even in battle, it has an extraordinary effect. On the other side, when Tianyi Alang was facing the strongest man, the king of biochemistry, suddenly, a shocking power and aura emerged from his body like an explosion. Boom! The shocking power, not to mention the enemy on the opposite side, even the biochemical king was so surprised that he almost lost his voice at this moment. What kind of power is this, my god? At this moment, the biochemical king finally understood why the strong man who was talking to him had the power of brain waves that could reach tens of thousands of kilometers away. Because the opponent's brain wave power has explosive characteristics. This characteristic is actually not Tianyi Alang's talent or anything like that, but the positive and negative power explosion plan he learned from Jia Yan's yin and yang Dao power exertion method. And this power is the most terrifying way of fighting in the yin and yang Dao, but the other subordinates are only using it at a rudimentary level. No one can reach the terrifying level of understanding that Tian Calhert has reached now. Therefore, the other two members of Jia Yan's team were almost distracted by the power of Tianyi Alang's explosion at that moment, and looked towards him. Although they had just heard Tianyi Alang say that he had mastered this fighting method, who among the other strong men had not mastered this fighting method to some extent? After all, yin and yang Dao is originally an explosion between positive and negative substances. They had previously thought that even if Tianyi Alang's understanding was stronger than theirs, it might only be so strong. But what I never expected was that the cowherd actually surpassed them so much that day. This made these two creatures slightly dazed. Fortunately, their fighting talents were not too bad, so they were not killed by other strong men in a sneak attack. Boom! The heavenly cowherd struck at the biochemical king, and then the biochemical king suddenly used his defensive moves. His terrifying blood-red body shook slightly at this moment. After resisting with all his strength, he was finally killed without being killed by a single blow, but he was still far away from being saved by the unreasonable power of the cowherd. This is such a terrifying power. The total amount of his brainwave power, I clearly feel that he is just a powerful person who has just stepped into the middle level of the star. How can he suppress me with one blow? You know that I am in biochemistry among the strong men in the star territory. He is definitely the strongest among the intermediate stars. The biochemical king looked at the being who was fighting him head-on in shock, feeling only a hint of fear. This time, he didn't feel a little bit bad because of the uncertain factor, that is, Jia Yan, but he felt a little bit shocked by the coming creatures, that is, Jia Yan's subordinates. After all, the two sides have fundamentally different ideas. Their side completely wants to use hidden power to defeat these three green-looking creatures in a quick time, and then go to the rear to kill these intruders. All enemies must be killed. But now, the situation seems to be different from what they said. Because these three coming creatures turned out not to be the piece of cake they imagined, but giant sharks that wanted to devour them. With one blow, this cowherd knocked back the most powerful person in the biochemical star territory, the king of biochemical stars. This scene also made the powerful people in the biochemical star territory on the side look at each other. They looked at each other in complete disbelief. Especially for them, the biochemical king is the absolute strong man in their minds. If possible, they also hope that the biochemical king can quickly deal with the first strong man and then come to help them. Although on the surface, the strong men here are not so convinced by the king of biochemistry, in fact, the strong men here are still a little convinced by the strength of the king of biochemistry. Otherwise, how could the status of the king of biochemistry be given to the king of biochemistry back then? King. But now, looking at it, the biochemical king can't even defeat one of the three enemies by himself. It seems that he will even be at a disadvantage. This is so shocking. If the other two people have this kind of strength, wouldn't they really be unable to keep this group of beings in the center of the biochemical star field? In fact, they still underestimate the members of Jia Yan's team here. Among the several members of Jia Yan's team in the starry sky, two have already shown terrifying combat prowess. Several strong men from the biochemical star field quickly moved towards the direction of the two of them, and together they besieged the cowherd and the scorpion-like creature. The remaining three primary stellar creatures looked at each other and then rushed towards the last member of Jia Yan's team. Several adults are all dealing with the strongest enemy. The last person in front of us seems to be a mid-level star, but he has definitely just stepped into the mid-level star for a few days. Compared with the two, those who have just stepped into the mid-level of stellar strength are even more unstable. Although the three of us are at the beginning of stellar strength, it should not be a problem to deal with him. If we are lucky, we can quickly kill him and then go over to help a few adults. These strong men from the biochemical star field who were at the initial level of the star seemed to be a little disdainful of the remaining mid-level star powerhouse who was flying very slowly. The opponent's strength is the weakest among the intruders. Even if he has a certain strength, it is probably not much different from an ordinary mid-level stellar powerhouse. The three of them are at the beginning of the stellar level, and they are all considered to be of good strength. The three of them joined forces and were confident that they could even block an ordinary mid-level stellar powerhouse. They simply believed that they could defeat this intruder who seemed to have just reached the mid-level stellar level. This person exists. he definitely doesn't have any unique combat abilities. After all, the two previous ones have already demonstrated unique combat abilities. If they even have this, their Jia Yan team would be too weird. Everyone actually has unique combat talents. That's simply it's impossible. Several elementary level stellar creatures quickly gathered around the last member of the intermediate level stellar Jia Yan team. Oh! They are surrounding me, haha, and they are 3 primary stars? Although I am the weakest one in this team, but you guys underestimate me just because of this? It is simply ridiculous. My strength is only because I want to get a unique thing, so I advanced so late. If I wait until I reach the strength of Tian Calherd, who might be weaker and who is stronger. Even if he wants to deal with me now, he can't prevent me. Do you think you can deal with me if you run away? This is simply ridiculous. The coming creature silently shook his head. Then, a bit of faint substance fell out from the body of this strong man with mid-level stellar strength. These are the scales of this creature. Although these scales appear to be extremely ordinary things, this creature is accustomed to using scales as weapons like flying knives. In the previous battle, Jia Yan liked him very much because of his unique fighting method, so during the journey, Jia Yan personally summoned this creature, and then studied with him for a while how to strengthen the scales. In the end, Jia Yan taught him the attack ability of using his own body material as a bomb. In other words, every scale of this strong man's body is a terrifying bomb containing positive and negative power. This is another great development of Onmyedo, and it is also their way of imitating Jia Yan's fighting style. What are these? I can't understand. It's like a flying knife. Let's be careful. Just don't get caught by this guy's flying knife. Several first-level star-level experts in the biochemical star field seem to attach great importance to the approaching flying knife-like scales at this moment. But is it useful for a weak person to say that he wants to pay attention to something like a lack of strength? There is a huge difference in strength, and it will be useless no matter how much you pay attention to it. Haha, blow it up for me. By the way, I forgot to tell you. When Lord Jia Yan taught me this fighting method, he once told me that although I wasted my time to advance because I had to convert body cells, among so many subordinates, my future, attack power, will be number 1. Boom. When this creature said this, a chain of battle explosions exploded in the starry sky. Even the energy was so terrifying that it affected the surrounding battle circle, and the Calherd and others had to retreat in embarrassment. Go. Oh my god, this guy is so strong. What attack power is this? Is it Master Jia Yan's move? How could he learn it? No, he borrowed Master Jia Yan's move and used his own accurate talent. This guy, you can ignore it if you say he advances slowly, but you can't underestimate it now that you've discovered it. The Calherd and the scorpion creature were suddenly startled. Then they all smiled bitterly. None of the subordinates taught by Master Jia Yan is weak. Tianyi Alang has already pulled away from others, but just like this, I dare not say that I can kill any of them one-on-one, or even not. He himself will be seriously injured, because everyone's abilities imitate Master Jia Yan, that is, they can all make sudden comebacks and kill enemies by leapfrogging. The 9 of them should be treated as equals. Who looks stronger on the surface, but when it comes to fighting, it's hard to say who is stronger and who is weaker. Ha ha ha, you two are really yours. In that case, let's use the blood and heads of the enemy to determine who is better. The heavenly Calherd is not very angry, and everyone can learn Master Jia Yan's moves, which shows that what Master Jia Yan taught them is perfect, and the future of Yin and Yang Dao is absolutely promising. Kill. The heavenly Calherd became murderous, and the power of his brainwaves exploded like crazy. Boom. In the starry sky, the biochemical king smiled bitterly as he was suddenly hit by this force, and flew back with blood spurting from his mouth. But the Calherd seemed to have taken some medicine. He wasn't just blasted away, but he was also blasted away at the feet of the other two midstellar beings surrounding him. Poof! The two beings couldn't be blocked by one move, and they flew backwards one after another. My day, I really can't compare with this guy. The two creatures from Jia Yan's team on the side watched Tian Nialang use the principle of yin and yang opposites of brainwave power to burst out unimaginable power bonus effects. They all said in shock that this Tian Nialang is indeed the recognized Jia Yan. Although they were the first fighting force of the team, they were confident that they could escape from the hands of Tian Nialang. Even the subordinate of Phelan had a chance to use his tricks to seriously injure Tian Nialang. Find bookstore. But on the surface, Tian Nialang is still much stronger than them. Only in a normal fight can the two of them defeat Tian Nialang. Tian Nialang, how can I let you be more beautiful than before? I will also make contributions in this battle. The flying scale creature suddenly flew forward. As a creature that had never had any presence in Jia Yan's team, at this moment, he began to shine. Hell, I found that I am the only one who seems to have a hard time killing enemies. Both of them began to explode. Another creature with flying scales exploded. At this moment, flying scales flew up in the universe, exploding continuously. Even the creatures at the beginning of the star were at this moment. He'll die as soon as he explodes. The scorpion-like creature looked startled, and then became anxious. Because his combat ability is defensive-oriented, even if he can resist other people's attacks, he even has certain ways to escape into subspace, but when it comes to attack power, he is far behind. So apart from being able to defend, he really doesn't have any other way to destroy the enemy. Damn it, although I don't have to use the power of distortion, I will be much weaker, but I also learned yin and yang Tao, and the power of positive and negative is not weak, and I remember that the power of distortion used by adults is amazing. I can use distortion in defense, suddenly cancelling the attack. And my lord seems to have developed few in-depth tactics on this point. After all, my lord has too many moves? If I develop them, maybe I can develop better fighting methods to a greater extent. As soon as he thought of it, this creature of the Scorpion clan, because he wanted to grab the credit, became more motivated. He instantly removed the power of distortion, and then appeared in front of a creature of the first level of a star. Puff! This creature pierced its feet into the chest of this star-level creature. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1600. The creature originally attacked the scorpion creature. Huizui was very happy. He thought he had encountered a target that could only defend but not attack. But now he saw that this guy could also attack, and his attack power was not weak at all. He spurted out blood and then died unwillingly. Ha ha ha, our strength is actually so strong. Several members of Jia Yan's team looked greatly refreshed. Their strength, to be honest, before this battle, they didn't think much about how awesome they were, and they didn't even think that their strength would reach or exceed others by a lot. Because their recent growth has been carried out next to Jia Yan, a creature of a heaven-defying level. Compared with Jia Yan, they really have no strength at all. Even after being hit by Jia Yan again and again, they felt that their strength had improved after learning Yin Yang Tao, but it should not be considered a heaven-defying level. But now, the members of Jia Yan's team have proved themselves with the facts before their eyes. In fact, they have completely surpassed their imagination. Their strength is much stronger than those of the same level. Following the super strong people, they have an inaccurate positioning of their own strength. This is the tragedy of many strong people who are subordinates. Fortunately, the current members of Jia Yan's team have all realized this, and the current situation is exactly when they have completely let out some of their suppressed emotions due to their lack of strength for a long time. Ripples vibrated in the starry sky. Tian Nialang used the opposite power of Yin and Yang Dao and struck out with one strike. Then, because the starry sky could not bear his power, it was shot through the normal space. Huge damage occurred in both subspace and gravitational wave space. The biochemical king spurted out a mouthful of blood and retreated a lot again. You, with your strength, where did you come from? How could Jia Yan snare someone like you? I don't believe it. Although the king of biochemistry has never seen Jia Yan with his own eyes, he has a certain understanding of Jia Yan, so he doesn't believe it no matter what. In his eyes, he has always been an evolved beast that exists like a small stumbling block. And still have subordinates with such strength. The strength of this subordinate is faintly stronger than mine. Even though it seems that his brainwave power is not as powerful as mine, his actual combat power is much higher than mine. This made the king of biochemistry suddenly feel a little weird about the so-called evolved beast that he had never seen before, Jia Yan. Although he did not believe that the opponent in front of him could really be Jia Yan's attribute. Next, you may be able to ask such a being to help you, and even let the other party pretend to be a subordinate, which is also capable. What's more, what is Jia Yan's strength now? The biochemical king also has a vague feeling. Maybe this evolution the beast has also reached the stellar mid-level, otherwise how could there be so many stellar mid-level friends? Is it my strength? I'm telling you, my strength has just been promoted to the mid-level star level not long ago. In addition, Master Jia Yan's name is also something that you, a mere mid-level star level creature, can call you directly. Our strength is what you personally taught me. Could it be that I don't know, maybe my elder is a super genius. Puff. As if to punish him, the heavenly cowherd struck with one blow, sending a large section of the biochemical king's blood-red body flying backwards. Impossible. After spitting out another mouthful of old blood, the biochemical king roared in disbelief. I don't believe it. In the past few years, Jia Yan couldn't even escape Huo Chu's pursuit. Do you think his current strength can guide a being like you? Could it be that he has really cultivated to the middle level of a star in just a few years? No, I absolutely don't believe it. Haha, is it a mid-level star? I'm laughing so hard Tian Nialang was startled for a moment, then laughed out loud. Indeed, my lord is definitely not an intermediate star. After Tian Nialang confirmed that Jia Yan was not an intermediate star, the biochemical king's eyes seemed to light up, as if Tian Nialang's words had verified his idea, making him feel slightly surprised. After all, at this time, he firmly believes that Jia Yan cannot have the strength of an intermediate star. If Jia Yan's strength is not as strong as an intermediate star, then the group of friends he invited in front of him might still be able to use the benefits of their biochemical star field to get rid of him, otherwise Jia Yan himself has some strength. These friends take into account Jia Yan's strength, maybe they won't be so easy to get rid of. Now the king of biochemistry has figured it out. What are the three guys in front of him that they can eat? On the surface, the three of them appear to be mid-level star powerhouses who have just entered the basic level, but each of them has their own methods and extremely terrifying combat skills. With the help of these methods, their combat effectiveness has doubled or even tripled. With 3 times the strength level, even the experts from the entire biochemical star territory couldn't stand the 3 of them. If this war continues, the biochemical star territory will definitely have to pay a huge price, just like the living and dead star primaries. Even if these 3 guys are finally driven away, the biochemical star territory will be in ruins and it has become the target of several powerful star fields in the surrounding area. Since he is not a mid-level star, do we still need to fight? A strong man like you is willing to sacrifice his life for a weakling who is weaker than himself? Let me tell you, our biochemical star field still has methods that we have not used. Don't I thought you 3 strong men could destroy us? The biochemical king used all his strength to block the extremely powerful front legs of the cowherd, and at the same time roared from his mouth. Haha, my lord is not a mid-level star, so he is weaker than me? Biochemical king, right? I thought that your biochemical star field was once a serious problem for our lords, So how terrible it would be, but now it seems that it is not. What's the IQ? Let me tell you, my master is indeed not an intermediate star, he is star backstep. Boom. After the cowherd said these words that day, his front feet burst out with unprecedented force and hit the biochemical king's chest, causing him severe injuries. But after the biochemical king felt the serious injury, he did not scream because of his injuries immediately. Because his first sentence was to express doubts about Jia Yan's strength. The lower level of a star? Impossible. How could he reach the lower level of a star? I don't believe it. In the past few years, he clearly didn't even reach the upper level of a star. He couldn't believe it, because he thought he had dealt with too many evolved beasts. Even when he was weak, it was thousands of years ago. There used to be evolved beasts with the Orion arm, but they were destroyed by their biochemical star field. When his seniors were destroyed, he thought at that time that the evolved beasts were nothing more than that. Now he heard that such a terrifying evolutionary beast had emerged from the clan of evolved beasts that had been wiped out by his predecessors. He suspected that Jia Yan might have reached the middle level of a star, but he couldn't believe that a creature of the evolutionary beast family would reach the lower level of a star in a few years. As for a creature of the lower stellar level, if his talents are as terrifying as those of the previous evolved beasts, then his current strength. Thinking of this, the biochemical king felt a tremor in his heart. How is it impossible? With the brains of weaklings like you, how can you guess the strength of my family? Well, after telling you so much, I can finally let you die in peace. Now, die to me. After Tianyi Alang answered the words of the biochemical king, he felt that it was meaningless. After his confrontation with the biochemical king just now, he knew that the first creature they killed was Jia Yan in this biochemical star field. The biggest enemy, even that kind of enemy has been killed. There really is no strong person in this biochemical star field who is worthy of them continuing to take their time. Give me a hand and kill them all, so that you won't have long nights and nightmares. The heavenly cowherd said this to the other two people. Good. Both of them sneered. At this moment, their fighting power actually exploded to an even more terrifying level. Puff. The biochemical king was severely injured after Tianyi Alang's attack. After Tianyi Alang increased his attack power, he only had the power to resist and no means of counterattack. You have clearly just reached the mid-level strength of a star, but you actually have such terrifying endurance. This is impossible. Originally, he was still thinking that in terms of attack power, he could not match the newly promoted person in front of him with extremely terrifying explosive power, but in terms of endurance, his stellar mid-level strength should be more durable than the creature in front of him. That's right, so as long as he keeps blocking, the cowherd will eventually run out of strength. But what he never expected was that Tianyi Alang didn't show any signs of fatigue. Even he felt tired, and Tianyi Alang was still attacking crazily. This made him extremely desperate. Ha ha ha, I forgot to tell you that this is also the fighting method Master Jia Yan taught us. You will definitely not know the principles. All you need to know is that even if you are exhausted, I will not exhaust myself. Now die to this god who escaped from my hands. Tianyi Alang sneered. Although he still had to be distracted to deal with the attacks of the other two stellar mid-level creatures around him, the focus of his attack at this time was completely on the biochemical king. Although he was also attacked by the surroundings from time to time. Two mid-level star creatures attacked his body, but despite the damage, he was still beaten to the point of death by the biochemical king with so many scars. He is the most miserable among the three members of Jia Yan's team, because there are only so many interstellar mid-level creatures in the biochemical star field, and all three of them are fighting him. The members of Jia Yan's team on the other side completely suppressed the strong men on the biochemical star territory side, almost showing a one-sided attitude. Although Tianyi Alang was besieged and suffered some injuries, he knew that his fighting method was about to get his results, because he suppressed the effect of the Biochemical King's attack, which would appear soon. The Biochemical King was besieging him. Among the three stellar mid-level powerhouses, as long as he is killed first and the most powerful one is killed, he will really not be afraid of the other two powerhouses. Of course the other two besiegers also knew this, so they used all their strength when attacking, hoping to be dealt with by Tianyi Alang, the great enemy, before he killed the king of biochemistry. Not only to save the biochemical king, but also to help myself, who will be waiting for a while, because after killing the biochemical queen, Tianyi Alang will definitely turn back to deal with the two of them. But for some reason, their attacks were neutralized by some kind of annihilation force when they got close to the cowherd, and then the force that fell on the cowherd's body was not that great. Puff. The heavenly cowherd also spurted out a mouthful of blood, but the biochemical king in front of him was already crumbling and almost dead. Don't be like this, sir, our biochemical star territory is willing to listen to you and your words. We have treasures here. When the biochemical king felt that the creature in front of him was about to kill him completely, he quickly used sound transmission, hoping to make a promise or something so that he could escape the disaster. No need, my adults are not such small creatures. Die. The Beowulf finally found this key point, and used the horns on his head to find the book garden a clip of the middle part of the blood-red body of the biochemical king. Click. There were huge explosions in the starry sky, both in the subspace and in the normal space. The terrifying explosive power cut open huge gaps in both normal space and subspace. Ah, damn. The biochemical king's eyes revealed an extremely horrified look as he watched helplessly as his body was broken into two parts from the center. Although he kept struggling and wanted to save something, his body was broken into two parts, and his strength and vitality were constantly lost from the severed organs, so it was impossible to save his life. Even because he is a mid-level stellar creature, without the intervention of outside forces, he can still live for a long time. Even if he uses certain technological methods, he can continue to live for hundreds or even thousands of years. But death is death. Now he couldn't even burst out a trace of strength. Of course, since he was killed, how could the cowherd give him a chance to survive? While cutting open the strongest man in the biochemical star field, the brainwave power left by the beet lemon on the top of the beetle's horn suddenly exploded. Terrifying explosive power formed on both sides of the biochemical king's severed body, blowing him to pieces. I hate it. The screams of the biochemical king were extremely eye-catching in the starry sky. Then the voice slowly became quieter. The biochemical king, whose vitality was quickly lost in the explosion, and the most powerful person in the star field, actually died directly in such a war that he thought he would win. King of biochemistry, here, go and die. The other two mid-level star creatures on both sides also had red eyes when they saw this scene. It was not because they had a good relationship with the biochemical king, but because they knew that it would be their turn next. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1601. Therefore, it is better to kill Tianyi Alang with all his strength before he recovers from the weakening period of this blow. These two people's blow can be said to have unleashed all their power. Even after this blow, if it did not take effect, they would become much weaker. Snort. A trace of solemnity flashed in Tianyi Alang's eyes. He was about to use his yin and yang dao to carry it over forcefully. Although he would definitely be seriously injured, as long as he didn't die, he thought he still had a certain chance against these two guys. Tianyi Alang, it seems you owe me a favor. Suddenly, a twisted force appeared in front of Tianyi Alang. This twisted power is very familiar to Tianyi Alang and the strong men fighting around him. It is possessed by the strong men of the Jiayan team who are like scorpions and come with Tianyi Alang. He helped Tianyi Alang block these two terrifying attacks. Absolute defense is no joke. Even these two attacks caused huge damage to the distortion. Even the scorpion creature snorted slightly and suffered a little injury, but neither he nor Tianyi Alang among them was harmed. The fatal injury shows how terrifying this defense level is. Haha, I really appreciate your kindness, thank you. The cowherd's eyes lit up. This trick of yin and yang dao has been played to a high degree by everyone. They also thought that they could not have the same advantage as Jia Yan, but the facts proved that although they could not be as versatile as Jia Yan, they could only put their minds into it. In some respects, he may not be much worse than Jia Yan. After all, these subordinates are also stellar-level experts. As mentioned above, every being who can reach the stellar level has no talent. They concentrate on the research of a certain aspect of yin and yang dao. Naturally no worse than Jia Yan Lai. Of course, Jia Yanqiang is also stronger because his talents are much better than those of his subordinates. This also causes his strength to improve very quickly. Many of his skills are only used for the first time, and then he has to use them due to the improvement of his strength. Giving up this skill means that, except for a few more powerful abilities such as subspace, many skills are not deeply involved at all. Why are the three of them so capable, willing to be Jia Yan's subordinates? This is too exaggerated. When Jia Yan came to our biochemical star field a few years ago, he was hunted down by us and had no way to go to the sky or the earth. A group of strong men from the biochemical star territory at this end did not understand at all. In their eyes, Jia Yan's subordinates, who could even kill the biochemical king, would actually listen to the orders of Jia Yan, whom they thought they were very familiar with. Which simply overturned their understanding of the evolved beast. But how could Tianyi Alang and the others have any explanation for these people? Since even the biochemical king has been killed by us, there is no need to hold back. Let's kill him directly. Let's simply kill this strong man in the biochemical star domain and forget about it becoming a subordinate star domain of the Orion arm in the future. Tianyi Alang knew that it was impossible for the Orion arm to take over the biochemical star territory, as Jia Yan had thought before. In terms of population and base strength, the Orion arm was far behind the biochemical star territory. But Tianyi Alang had other ideas. That is, if they can consume most of the strong men and fleets in the biochemical star territory in one fell swoop, then the biochemical star territory may really be controlled by the Orion arm in the future. After all, unlike what Jia Yan thought, it is actually them. Each of these subordinates of Jia Yan's team is capable of suppressing the entire biochemical star field, and not Jia Yan alone can suppress them. In this case, there will be enough manpower. Kill. After hearing what Tianyi Alang said, the two members of Jia Yan's team also thought that he was right, so they shouted slogans and rushed towards the remaining frightened biochemical star realm experts. We surrender, Your Majesty. We surrender. The existences of several first-level stars saw that even the most terrifying biochemical king among the middle-level stars was killed by a single strong man from Jia Yan's team, and this killing was done by two other middle-level stars. It existed, and it was completed while besieging it with the king of biochemistry. It can be seen how huge the strength gap between the two sides is. So they, who thought they were not strong enough, quickly expressed their intention to surrender. Oh, surrender, don't move. The three strong men of Jia Yan's team looked at each other and nodded slightly. They had this tacit understanding instantly, because even if they beat the entire biochemical star territory and bowed their heads, the number of Jia Yan's subordinates was still too small, and no one was willing to come to this biochemical star territory to permanently take over. The distance from Master Jia Yan has become too far, so there is a need for strong agents here. These initial star beings who surrendered are also strong enough. In addition, they have been scared out of their wits. They may not be worth relying on in the future. Down. Seeing that these elementary creatures from the star were not killed by the three strong men under Jia Yan, and the strong men from the biochemical star field in the battle, their expressions changed wildly, and then they all unexpectedly shouted out in unison. Words of surrender. 3 adults, we have also surrendered. We will also ask them to stop attacking the battleships behind us. Several midstellar creatures actually surrendered in the same way. It turns out that the cowherd and the others thought that these mid-level creatures from the stars would definitely fight to the death. Unexpectedly, they were frightened after the biochemical king and Huok were killed. However, they surrendered a little slowly. 2 of them were still blown up by the bombs of the heavenly cowherd and the scale monster. Bye. There are only 2 mid-level stars left. Do you want to surrender too? That's fine. I've never commanded a mid-level subordinate of a star. Come on, just become my subordinate. Tian Cowherd's eyes suddenly lit up. The 2 subordinates of Jia Yan's team on the other side all curled their lips, thinking that the cowherd was too poisonous, and this guy was only thinking about himself. It is naturally very beneficial to have subordinates who are at the middle level of the star. Their strength is just short of reaching the middle level of the star. Although they now know that their own strength is to fight against 3 existences of the same level. Win and win. But having such subordinates is better than not having them at all. They are still mere commanders now. As for the biological subordinates of the Orion arm who followed, none of them are even half-star level. They will not regard them as his own subordinates, because they can't even get anything done. Fortunately, although these 2 people were angry, the cowherd did not take any more advantage, because after taking these 2 mid-level subordinates of the star, he had already gone a bit too far, so he quickly let go of the first-level star selection. That is, the remaining primary-level star creatures became the candidates for the 2 subordinates of Jia Yan's team to choose. That's pretty much it, otherwise we'd have to tell the adults about cowherd. No, I don't want to be scolded by the adults. By the way, we will accept them as subordinates ourselves. The adults shouldn't be angry. Tian Nialang was a little unsure about whether Jia Yan and the others would be angry with them and accept subordinates. Moreover, they were still stellar subordinates whose strength could not be ignored. Haha, what kind of existence is Sir? Elementary level star? Intermediate level star? And they are all existences of ordinary strength. Do you think Lord Jia Yan will care? He can kill a whole person with 1 foot, so why would he care about us? These subordinates, or should I say, he will be happy to have more people to help him. After all, aren't our subordinates your lord's subordinates? That's right, my villain's heart can judge a gentleman's heart. The heavenly cowherd quickly apologized and smiled. He also thought that he was overthinking. With Jia Yan's strength, how could he care about his subordinates who were not even as powerful as them? But they felt that Mr. Jia Yan now looked down on even members of his team. If it weren't for our friendship through thick and thin, we might have gotten rid of subordinates like them who were a bit of a hindrance. Even they are almost looked down upon, let alone these weaker people. Okay, don't think so much. Now these fleets and strong men have surrendered. Let's send the news back quickly. Sure enough, in the area of this war, the fleet that was originally thought to be able to deal with just 3 strong men occupied a large area of the starry sky, even stretching for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, and the place where the shadows of warships were all within the radius. Actually, the complete surrender made the 3 members of Jia Yan's team, who had never seen such a scene, feel explosive and extremely shocked in their hearts. This is the benefit of learning his yin and yang Tao from Jia Yan, and it is also the benefit of following Jia Yan. They really have no regrets at all for following Jia Yan back then. Yes, after passing the news back, I guess even Mr. Jia Yan didn't expect that the 3 of us could achieve such good results. Tianyi Alang smiled strangely at the 2 of them. You can imagine Jia Yan's shocked expression when he heard that the 3 of them had completely defeated the main force of the biochemical star field here. Of course, what he wanted to know more was what the other members of Jia Yan's team at the other end would look like, especially Luo Longxi, who was beginning to feel a faint sense of competition with him. She didn't disagree with him at the beginning. Decide. He also said that they would definitely fail and escape back, but now, with the combined strength of 3 people in our team, we can go straight to Huanglong and destroy the center of the biochemical star field. If we had used this method earlier, we would have won long ago. It is simply a joke to fight life and death on the periphery. Tianyi Alang felt very proud of his wise decision. He felt that when he returned this time, he would definitely have a higher status in front of Master Jia Yan. But don't be careless. The advantage of Luo Longxi is that she has a lot of people at her disposal now, and her parents are also around the star level. I heard that she also persuaded her parents to switch to Onmyeto. Although it seems that due to their age, it would be difficult for these 2 gods to compare with us, but she has more people, and there are many fresh blood from the gods' domain with great potential. I want to compete with her in the future. There is still a certain gap in potential. So I have to support my own system. After thinking so much, some kind of competitive thoughts towards Luo Longxi became stronger and stronger in Tianyi Alang's eyes. But what he didn't know was that the 2 members of Jia Yan's team beside him had similar thoughts in their hearts. And it's not just them. At this time, in the outer biochemical star field, every member of Jia Yan's team has similar thoughts in their hearts. Huh? Has the information about the cowherd arrived? Humph, if you don't listen to our words, it's probably a message asking for help. Let me take a look. Although these 3 guys are a bit arrogant, they are members of our system after all. It is not good to ignore them until they die, otherwise Master Jia Yan will not be able to explain the past. Ah! What's wrong? On the team led by Luo Longxi, most of the subordinates did not like the appearance of the cowherd. Most of them are the original female gods, and the subtle competition between the 2 sides is still going on now. Even the female god who is also a scorpion clan has become a couple with a star-level powerful scorpion clan creature. And even gave birth to a child, but now and then they still get into trouble because of arguments about the system. Fortunately, with the combination of the 2 of them, the battles in the 2 systems did not turn into conflicts just under the table. At this time, the female creature of the scorpion tribe was the first to go and see it after receiving the information. In fact, she was still very worried about her husband's safety. But after seeing the information, she couldn't help but widen her eyes. They won a great victory. They even killed the king of biochemistry. They killed 8 star-level experts in the biochemical star field from top to bottom. The remaining intermediate level and primary level stellar beings, they all surrendered. And even the million-strong first-line fleet in the biochemical star field actually surrendered. All the super science-level weapons they carried were captured by us intact. After listening to the information from over there, Luo Longxi and other divine beings were dumbfounded, almost unable to believe it. These 3-star-level existences, even though they seemed very confident when they set off, their mentality was still a bit unconfident. But what is going on with their current record? The opponent was well prepared and intercepted a sneak attack. Even though they were fighting head-on with just 3 strong men, so many enemies from the biochemical star field were actually defeated. Now the cowherd is back, I'm really bragging about it. I don't know what Mr. Jia Yan's reaction will be. Luo Longxi smiled bitterly. She had indeed felt recently that her power, at least among Master Jia Yan's subordinates, was the strongest. But now that this happened again, she would not be sure. Not long after they received the news about the outcome of the war was transmitted to the Earth through extremely fast quantum entanglement theory news. The 3 of them, the cowherd, are victorious. Just as Luo Longxi and others expected, Jia Yan looked slightly stunned after receiving the news. Then he smiled. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1602. News of the war coming from within the biochemical star field, the Orion Arm, will never be as fast as those creatures like Jia Yan who master several distant alien technologies. So after Jia Yan knew the information about the Orion Arm for a long time, the Orion Arm received a letter from the fleet. Then, there was joy in the entire star territory. You know, that is the biochemical star field. For the residents and senior officials of the Orion Arm, it turns out that it is impossible to look directly at it, and it is impossible to be equal to them. Previously, it had been relying on the help of the light curtain inside the Orion Arm, which no one knew how to generate, so that the Orion Arm could survive the pressure of this biochemical star field. But after knowing that the biochemical star territory had a way to completely eliminate the Orion Arm's light curtain, the Orion Arm became completely pessimistic. They believe that the Orion Arm will be destroyed soon. Even if there are local strong men like Jia Yan in the Orion Arm, it is still impossible to fight against the biochemical star territory. Even the so-called giant Mosquito clan, no one was optimistic about it. Even if the giant Mosquito clan was strong last time, it completed a huge display of strength in the Orion Arm and wiped out a small and weak civilized fleet in the Orion Arm. But this time to the entire biochemical star field, it was like a small local village that had been wiped out, and it was of no consequence at all. Therefore, when half of the forces in the biochemical star territory came to compete for the Orion Arm this time, the wealthy families in the Orion Arm had long been prepared to escape, and the powerful ones had already established escape channels to the outside world. The only way to do this is to flee to a place within Orion's Arm where there are few places for war. Everyone was originally prepared that the Orion Arm would last only a few years at most, and then the entire star field would be wiped out. But what they never expected was that the race that had helped the Orion Arm, the giant Mosquito clan, would take action again. Originally, the giant Mosquito clan took action. If the one who took action was the powerful master of the giant Mosquito clan during the last Orion Arm crisis, who was also the rumored giant Mosquito of Lord Jia Yan's master, people would still not think that this Lord Giant Mosquito can be of some help to the current war, but this time it was different. Something happened that shocked people. That is to say, the person who took action this time turned out to be an existence that far surpassed that Lord Giant Mosquito, and was also the ancestor of Lord Giant Mosquito. Although many people on Earth and aliens have been unable to figure out the relationship between the giant Mosquito clan, in short they know that the person who took action this time is a being who is far more powerful than the giant Mosquito who took action last time, and he is here in this war. It seemed that they didn't care about the power of the biochemical star territory at all, and just sent out a group of their own strong subordinates. It's not that the creatures in Orion's Arm don't believe this adult, but this adult's confidence also makes them a little worried. After all, they know a lot about the biochemical star field, and they know that the biochemical star field is definitely not what Orion Arm can imagine. And this lord didn't actually go out personally, but only sent 9 of his subordinates to deal with this biochemical star field. Isn't it a bit ridiculous? But it didn't take long for this idea to arise. Many senior officials in the Orion Arm, as well as ordinary people who watched the war news, all shut up. Because those subordinates of the giant Mosquito ancestor not only invaded the biochemical star field creatures inside the Orion Arm in an instant, but quickly dealt with them, and after giving an order, they moved towards the biochemical star field. Inside, fight back. The war known in history as the Orion Arm counterattack in self-defense began. It turns out that the creatures and people in the Orion Arm thought that this war would be a tug of war at most. After all, the biochemical star territory must be run like iron barrels by the biochemical star territory. Those Jia Yan adults, although the subordinates are extremely powerful, they will definitely be restricted to the border area and then negotiate between the two parties. This is the best result that everyone in Orion Arm can think of. But in fact, the strength of Lord Giant Mosquito's subordinates is still beyond the imagination of the soldiers and civilians of the Orion Arm. They were so devastating that, with the army within Orion's Arm, they quickly killed many biochemical starfield civilizations on the border. By this time, most of the people in the Orion Arm have already thought that the results of this victory may be a little greater than they imagined, because if this situation is discussed again, the biochemical starfield will definitely have to bleed heavily to make it possible. The giant mosquito in Orion's arm was satisfied. But the real victory that Yi never expected came at this moment. That was Master Giant Mosquito's subordinates. They actually divided their forces, and the three men with the smallest strength made a surprise attack directly towards the center of the biochemical starfield. In other words, the three adults are preparing to attack the most elite area of the biochemical starfield with the strength of three people. This is simply asking for death. They may not know that the military strength and real strength of the biochemical starfield are in the central area, and a starfield definitely has hidden strength. Everyone was not optimistic about this raid. At least the senior officials of several major civilizations and defense fleets in the Orion Arm who knew the news shouted nonsense after hearing this. Is the strength so good that it can be erased by strong men? These three strong men, who seem to be strong, may not necessarily be stronger than those extremely powerful middle-level stars in the biochemical starfield, not to mention that they will definitely not only face those middle-level stars. In everyone's opinion, this war is bound to be lost. But the result this time was once again shocking. The war was actually between the three subordinates of Lord Giant Mosquito. The three of them faced millions, tens of millions, or even hundreds of billions of enemies, but they ended in victory. In this battle, the most powerful person in the biochemical starfield, the king of biochemistry, died in the battle. Several middle-level stellar powerhouses also died. More primary-level stellar creatures also died. Although there was no significant impact on the battleships. A big loss, but for the strong, battleships are just the way to go. If they want to kill them, they must have a way to kill them all. Because they were shocked by the fighting power of the giant mosquito's three subordinates, the most elite battleships and strong men in the biochemical starfield completely surrendered. Then, the major civilizations and empires in the biochemical star territory issued surrender documents one after another. None of them dared to fight with the subordinates of Giant Mosquito. You must know that the most elite people in the entire biochemical star territory were wiped out. They are just 3 of the 9 strong men in the biochemical star field. Moreover, through the investigation of the experts and psychologists in the biochemical star field, although there are some differences among these 9 experts, there should be little difference in strength, otherwise they would not be able to act. Each of them is slightly different. The feeling of competition is gone. This discovery caused the biochemical star territory to fall into panic. 3 strong men can wipe out the entire elite force of the biochemical star territory. If 9 of them move together, such a powerful person is still just a subordinate of the evolved beast, which shows how far that evolved beast has reached now. If you don't surrender, will you die? Although it is difficult for the 9 powerful men to rule or destroy the entire biochemical star territory, there is still a chance for them to disrupt the entire biochemical star territory and return it to the ancient times. What's more, even if the Orion Arm does not swallow up the strength of the biochemical star territory, if then they turned around and sold the biochemical star territory to the empire that had been eyeing it for hundreds of thousands of years next to the biochemical star territory, doesn't that mean that the biochemical star territory is absolutely doomed? So they all surrendered, which was a no-brainer. The biochemical star territory surrenders and declares surrender to my Orion Arm, ha ha ha. Jew, it actually turned out like this. The Giant Mosquito clan is the Giant Mosquito clan. This time it's even worse. Even the adults of the Giant Mosquito clan didn't even move, and they defeated the entire biochemical star field. Even the Giant Mosquito clan fell down. The subordinates of the ancestor of the Mosquito clan were so terrifying that they even used only 3 of them to wipe out all the elites in the biochemical star field. What kind of rebellion could the ancestor of the Giant Mosquito clan have? Such strength. No matter how powerful he is, this kind of powerful man is no different from a god to us. Even the ancestors' subordinates are like gods. We can't be too rude. Just because they are the subordinates of Lord Ancestor, there is no reason to look down upon them. This is absolute. We are not fools. It is possible that every strength exceeds the existence of the biochemical king. Even I don't know how strong the biochemical king is, but it will definitely reach the mid-level of a star. I am not looking for death. Respect the subordinates of our ancestors who killed even the middle-level stars. The news of the great victory over the biochemical star territory was like a dream to the Orion Arm. This is like a country being targeted by another empire that is countless times more powerful. As a result, a strong man came to the country and led the small country. Not only did he resist the attack of the empire, but he even defeated the empire and the whole country surrendered. This is simply too much. It's beyond everyone's expectation. That ancestor is such a existence, he can simply turn decay into magic. Of course, the strength of this ancestor and his subordinates instantly became huge news that ignited the entire network. Being able to survive, and even the old rival was conquered by his side, the people in the Orion Arm were of course overwhelmingly in favor of the giant Mosquito clan, and they all enthusiastically treated the ancestor of the giant Mosquito clan. I don't know whether intentionally or unintentionally, he is called ancestor. This seems to make it more friendly. Of course, none of them had expected that this huge ancestor, whose strength seemed unfathomable now, could conquer the biochemical star territory even by sending a few subordinates out, was something they had seen in the past. The senior giant Mosquito that I passed. I think the ancestor's strength is at least the pinnacle of the stellar mid-level. Even so, many stellar mid-level adults are willing to be the ancestor's subordinates. He definitely has the strength of the stellar mid-level. Haha, as I see it, there might be a stellar backstage. Those who are talking about the back-level stars must have something wrong with their brains. I heard that compared to the mid-level stars, it is definitely harder to encounter the powerful ones in the back-level stars in our star field. It takes at least 100 middle-level stars to have one. There may be a star. Do you think this ancestor will be a rare star? What's more, why haven't we heard of a powerful star? No matter how ignorant we are, nearby the late stellar creatures in the star field are somewhat depicted in our Orion Arm. The intelligence system in the Orion Arm has been in progress since the door of the Orion Arm was opened. With the beginning of intelligence and business, the information from the outside world was also known to the top management and even the people on the internet. Therefore, many people think that they know everything about stellar strength and constant breath level experts. But they don't know at all. The so-called strong ones are not as simple as they imagined. Take the information they know. It is true and false. Some of it is true, and some of it is released from certain star fields to shock people. Don't trust everything from your enemies. But one thing they said is right, that is, there are far fewer powerful people in the lower level stars than in the middle level stars. Not only is it difficult to advance in level, but more importantly, in the star field here, there are a strong person of the late stellar level has a great impact on the surrounding star field forces. So many star fields with the late stellar level will join forces to restrict the star areas that are preparing to develop the late stellar level, and even develop to the strong ones of the late stellar level. Take it upon yourself to directly kill those who are preparing to be promoted to the middle level of the star. Of course, this kind of thing now has nothing to do with the Orion Arm in the Carnival. And there is a big problem that has been placed in the hands of the Carnival Orion Arm Alliance government. That is, the surrender document of the biochemical star territory has been sent, but this document clearly shows that the surrender of the Orion Arm is only incidental. The main person they surrender is the giant Mosquito ancestor, although the biochemical star territory knows that it is with the giant Mosquito ancestor they fought was the evolved beast Jia Yan before, but since Jia Yan didn't want to say it, of course they had to keep it a secret. Since it is senior ancestor giant Mosquito who has surrendered, How can we do it for him? If Lord Ancestor is not happy, or if any of his subordinates think that we are disrespectful to Lord Ancestor, we would go out of his way to accept this. By surrendering in the biochemical star territory, wouldn't it be an offense to a great benefactor? Several representatives of major civilizations on the Alliance headquarters star were almost racking their brains. By the way, we let the people on Earth accept the surrender. Isn't Lord Jia Yan the apprentice of my ancestor's nephew? This time, Lord Ancestor came to my Orion arm because he wanted to see this nephew's apprentice. As long as Jia Yan Your Excellency is willing to come forward, the Ancestor's face is saved, and our Orion arm theoretically gains face. After all, we have surrendered to the strong men in our Orion arm. Yes, but in this case, if you let the Earth accept surrender alone, in what name, let Master Jia Yan hold a position in the Alliance? If possible, we are willing to hand over the Alliance leader, but Master Jia Yan has made it clear that no, I will accept any position as a professional guard from any league. Existences like Mr. Jia Yan have long looked down upon the mere status of the Orion arm. Let alone the Alliance leader, even if we surrendered the entire Orion arm to him, others would not look down upon him. No, we have a roundabout way. This way is. We let the Earth be my Orion arm, co-host with the biochemical star field. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1603. When the decisions of all parties in the Orion arm were finalized, several of the officials responsible for the alliance on Earth returned to their respective mansions almost in a daze. They recommended our Earth to become the co-master of the Orion arm and the biochemical star field. These officials sent the news back to Earth. Earth officials also looked shocked. Because just as they thought, the people on Earth really didn't have much idea about becoming a co-owner, or a being with a higher status. It's not that the people on Earth don't have so much greed, but the Earth today has not reached that point at all. It should even be said that the detached status of Earth people in the arms of Orion is very abnormal. This, we on the Earth side also need to discuss it carefully. By the way, we have to ask Mr. Jia Yan. Now there are rumors that Mr. Jia Yan is out of hiding. Several senior officials did not dare to make their own decisions about the coming news, and they also knew that all this was definitely brought by the ancestor of the giant mosquito, that is, indirectly through Jia Yan. So they had to discuss it with Jia Yan, otherwise they wouldn't dare to have any other ideas. If Jia Yan says it's okay, Earth might really consider it at such a rare opportunity. So not long after, a communication request was respectfully conveyed to Jia Yan within the Jia family. Huh? Do you want to communicate with me? Okay. Jia Yan was sitting in his room. In front of him was a guard who was unfamiliar to the Jia family and looked very obedient and cautious. After he conveyed the communication request from the Earth Alliance, he quickly and cautiously exited. I'm scared to death. Talking to Mr. Jia Yan is actually such a stressful thing, but, I have really spoken to Mr. Jia Yan. It will definitely be very honorable to tell the truth. The guard's happy words were heard by Jia Yan, and he couldn't help but smile. His status in the Jia family or in the entire Earth Alliance has reached an unimaginable height. Although it cannot be compared with the giant Mosquito clan, it is definitely second to them, and even some the people on Earth have worshipped him as a god. Okay, I have a lot of things to do. If you have anything to say, just tell me. Jia Yan quickly used his brain to connect to the Earth's contact information. His brain was produced on Earth, but it should be of the highest quality, and no one would dare to eavesdrop on it. Sir, it's like this. We, the Orion Arm Alliance, have just agreed on something, that is, we want to make our Earth Alliance the co-master of the Orion Arm and the biochemical star territory. We want to ask for your opinion. The Earth Alliance executive who communicated with Jia Yan was considered to have a very high status in the Earth Alliance, but after meeting Jia Yan, he could hardly speak properly. Although the two parties have communicated for a long time and are old friends, it was Jia Yan who gradually promoted him to his current status. It can be seen that Jia Yan is still more and more intimidated by the amazing pressure he exudes. Oh! Orion Arm Alliance, is this the plan? Jia Yan was startled. He had never thought that the Orion Arm Alliance would actually make such a decision. But when you think about it, it's not surprising. After all, the current Orion Arm Alliance can defeat the biochemical star territory because of the connection between the Earth Alliance and the giant Mosquito clan. No, it should be said that it relies on his Jia Yan and the giant Mosquito clan. Mosquito clan connection. Therefore, if they want to continue to win over, or get close to, this giant Mosquito family, the Orion Arm will naturally raise the status of the Earth Alliance. As a co-leader, Jia Yan actually thinks about it carefully and knows that the actual benefits that the Earth Alliance can obtain are extremely low. After all, the technology, culture, and other aspects of the Earth Alliance are completely incompatible with its current status. Although people on Earth play in finance, this financial ability is still based on the prestige of Jia Yan or the giant Mosquito clan behind Jia Yan. If he dies, or something happens to the giant Mosquito clan, in the event of changes, the Earth Alliance without strength will definitely fall apart in an instant. It may not be directly criticized by other alliances, but it will definitely fall back to the original status of such a weak civilization. In fact, many aliens who play in Earth's finance are precisely because of these concerns. Therefore, although Earth's finance is good, this is still because of the small size and high risks of the Earth, and the actual finance is not that strong. Now, the Earth has actually instantly skipped the stage of being the strongest of the Orion Arm, and now has the relationship of being the co-owner of the two major star fields. This made Jia Yan slightly surprised. Thinking back to those days, the Earth was just a weak indigenous civilization that could not even leave the Earth. Now it has reached such an extent. If you lose me, the Earth will probably be destroyed countless times. Since I have protected the Earth for so long, what if I continue to protect it in the future? But after all, I am only a single person. If I were to go out in the future, if there is any accident, the Earth will return to its original shape in an instant, and there may even be a risk of destruction. The reason why the Earth Alliance became the co-owner of the Orion Arm and the biochemical star field was simply because of his relationship with the Earth and the so-called giant Mosquito clan behind him. But Jia Yan himself knew that he and the giant Mosquito clan behind him were actually just himself. If he dies, or goes to another world like last time, then the Earth will lose its support, and sooner or later it will be unlucky. And it is not realistic to let my subordinates protect the Earth all the time. It will be possible for some time in the future, but it will take a long time. In this case, the people on Earth still need to become stronger themselves, but this kind of thing cannot be done in one generation. What can be changed in 2 generations, or even within tens of thousands of years, may not be able to produce a person who is good enough to hold such a big position. Jia Yan knew that for the strength of living things to reach an extremely terrifying level, that is, to reach star level, this requires the entire environment or the foundation of the biological population to be extremely high. The emergence of an evolved beast like him is a matter of probability. The possibility that another evolved beast will appear on Earth, or if it is close to humans or even human at all, is even lower. Rather than expecting another evolved beast in the future, it would be more realistic to expect a star-level powerhouse to appear on Earth itself. But this reality, judging from the future that Jia Yan can predict, will take at least thousands of years, or even tens of thousands of years. This is because the people on Earth only have so many physiques, and they can go from several to one in one breath. In this generation, it is absolutely impossible to find a way to become a star. Even if I teach my yin and yang Tao to the people on Earth without reservation, it will be useless. This is not a matter of inheritance. Finally, Jia Yan thought of a possibility. It is also the possibility that he is most looking forward to and the most possible. That is his son. Jia Rong. Although Zirong's talent may not be up to my level, he is a genetically perfect creature after all, and he used my cell and genetic technology back then. His success can be said to be an extremely rare coincidence, so the talent is definitely good, and there is a possibility of reaching star level in the future. And what's different from me is that he is a humanoid creature. In my opinion, I still have a high chance of normal fertility. Even if he can't do it, when I get stronger, there may be a similar way. Of course, it would be best to have a natural child and give birth to 1 or 2 children with strong genes. Satsuma Temple also has almost perfect genes, and we will give birth to a child together. My child may not be worse than Xiaorong. Thinking of this, Jia Yan finally made a major decision that may affect the entire Earth in the future, or in other words, the entire Orion Arm and the biochemical star field. That is, in order to protect the Earth and his status as a human being on Earth, he is determined to develop his own geofamily, that is, his own bloodline. Of course, the horror of relying on only one family to develop and the future risks, even if you just think about it simply with your head, there are as many as you want. For example, in the future, if a single family becomes dominant, will it cause any tyranny? What will happen? There will be no bad-hearted Geo family members, this is what Jia Yan has thought about. But now, there really is no more reliable way than this. And in his heart, Jia Yan still wants to have his own offspring. Earth can agree. After analyzing for a long time, the Earth Alliance leader on the other side of the communicator did not dare to move at all. After waiting for a long time, Jia Yan finally raised his head and spoke lightly. Agree? Okay, I'll do it right away. By the way, there's news over there that if our Earth is willing to be the co-master, we would also like to ask you to be the co-master of the 2 major star regions, which is the only one. Laws and rules. After the Alliance leader learned that Jia Yan was willing to serve as the so-called co-owner of the Earth, he quickly passed on the last words of the Orion Arm Alliance. It turns out that the Orion Arm Alliance wanted to rebind Jia Yan to a more extreme point. It was best to let Jia Yan share more of the interests of the Orion Arm and the biochemical star territory, so Jia Yan was allowed to serve as the so-called co-leader. If Jia Yan holds such an important position, he will definitely benefit from it. If something happens in the future, Jia Yan will not stand by and watch. And if he does not stand by and watch, the terrifying and powerful giant Mosquito clan will say it may also help the Orion Arm, which is actually a very weak alliance now. Am I the co-leader? I don't deserve this. When Jia Yan heard this, he refused directly. It's a joke to ask him to be a co-owner. What's here now is just his real avatar. If he becomes a co-master, wouldn't it be that he's so busy with worldly affairs that he won't have time to practice and improve himself? I understand that Mr. Jia Yan refused, but the other party also said that if Mr. Jia Yan is not willing, I wonder if the Jia family can take on some important affairs of the alliance, and idle positions are also possible. If so, the alliance is willing to give some benefits and privileges. The leader of the Earth Alliance must have been promised some benefits by the Orion Arm Alliance Council. Of course, the benefits would only be the promise that if he persuaded Jia Yan, he would give Earth a higher status in the future, etc. So when he heard after Jia Yan rejected the so-called co-owner, he still refused to give up and wanted to get rid of Raja's family. I have no control over the affairs of the Jia family. It has nothing to do with me what position they want to hold or what they want to do. As long as you can persuade me, I will do whatever you want them to do. I won't care about it, but you have to be clear about one thing. You can't be careless about the safety of my family, do you understand? Ming, I understand. Knowing that Jia Yan does not interfere with the affairs of the Jia family in the alliance, the Earth Alliance leader is already extremely happy. He does not care about the positions of the Jia family. For the Orion Arm Alliance, it is just to tie the Jia family to the alliance's chariot. Just go up. After talking on the phone for a while, Jia Yan hung up the communication. It's a bit incredible that this happened, and that the biochemical star territory accepted these unequal treaties so easily. Jia Yan felt a little surprised at the honesty of the biochemical star territory. After all, as a strong man, if it were Jia Yan himself, he would be very unhappy to be ruled by others, and it would be even more difficult to accept that they would have to agree to a co-ownership or even more unequal terms. To know the current strength of the biochemical star territory. Even if a group of strong men are eliminated, their technological strength and the number of remaining strong men can easily defeat the giant Mosquito clan and Jia Yan's Orion arm was destroyed 180 times. But they still swallowed their anger. Don't know what the reason is. The news of Jia Yan's agreement was quickly sent back to the Orion Arm Alliance. As for the alliance, they were naturally happy. Although they were a little regretful that Jia Yan rejected the position of co-leader, this was what they had thought about. After all, judging from Jia Yan's previous behavior, he did not value fame at all. Yes, so it is natural to refuse. This news, like snowflakes, spread quickly throughout the Orion Arm. Although there is no official news about the start of the Alliance's new co-president's day, everyone knows that this is already a certainty and will definitely happen soon. The Earth becoming the co-owner of the entire Orion Arm, plus the biochemical star domain, is a huge event for the entire Orion Arm and the biochemical star domain. Of course, many civilizations in the biochemical star domain do not know this news yet. After all, although the biochemical star territory has surrendered, most areas have not even seen a war. Many people don't even know that the biochemical star territory has changed. How would they know that they are about to have an additional co-master Earth? All matters are being carried out in full swing. While the Orion Arm was celebrating the birth of its co-leader, it did not forget to take precautions against the biochemical star field. But it turns out that nothing has moved in the biochemical star territory. Anyway, what has moved is another biochemical star domain enemy from behind the biochemical star territory, and this enemy is also the one that most of the biochemical star territory has chosen to attack. After the Orion Arm conquered, there was no real reason for the unusual movement.